Immortal Cultivation begins with time management. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 901 Golden Cicada Temple. The Beauty in Stone. Wei Dongliu was shocked and asked quickly, "Are you sure?" "Sure." Kunlun Mirror said immediately, "Very sure." Wei Dongliu suddenly realized, why did the Hell Road go to such great lengths to investigate such a hidden sect hiding in the corner of the cave? Because there are fragments of the Beauty in Stone in this Jing'an temple. Good guy, if Arjun hadn't told me, I would have been kept in the dark. This Taoist Luo, he clearly ordered me to do something, but he refused to reveal any useful information. You're asking for information, right? The information I got is that the fragments of the Beauty in Stone of the Buddhist sect were stolen by someone unknown. Taoist Luo, you can worry about it. Determined to seize the fragments of the Beauty in Stone, Wei Dongliu is now a wandering monk from the Buddha temple under the alias of the Dharma named Mingzi, and followed the little monk to the mountain road. I wonder what to call you, little master? Mingzi suddenly asked. How to call, of course, refers to the name of the identity he is currently pretending to be. The young monk even said he dared not, and bowed his head and said, "My name is Jiangxing." Despicable. Mingzi frowned slightly, wondering why this name is so strange. Following Jiangxing all the way up, Mingzi kept looking around, and gradually doubts arose in his heart. Why was this Buddhist temple built in this cave? Looking back on past experience, Buddhism does have the habit of building its bases in remote areas. For example, the Jing'an Island Prison Demon Hall in the South China Sea, and the Thousand Buddha Caves on the southwest plateau, where the Wangxai Bangzhuepsen sword was unearthed. These places are essentially guarding and suppressing something, so they try to avoid being found as much as possible. And this Jing'an temple, could it be built in this secluded cave for similar purposes? Thinking of this, Mingzi found that he had arrived at the temple gate. The temple gate was open, and there was only one monk sweeping the floor silently. However, there were no fallen leaves on the ground, and I don't know what the other party was sweeping with the broom. Brother. Jiangxing stepped forward and said, "This is Min, Brother Mingzi, from outside, from the Buddha temple outside, and wants to settle down in our Jing'an temple." The monk raised his head and glanced at Mingzi indifferently. Mingzi found that the monk's pupils were too small, and there was more white in his eyes, which was clearly a symptom of weak spirit, energy, and spirit. There is something strange in this Jing'an temple. Mingzi was thinking about it, and he heard the monk ask, "Do you have a certificate of ordination?" "Yes, yes." Jiangxing quickly took out the certificate and handed it to the other party. "You wait outside." The monk took the certificate and didn't look at it, but just stuffed it into his sleeve. "Jiangxing, follow me to see the abbot." The two of them stepped into the temple gate, leaving Mingzi waiting outside. He put his hands into his sleeves and silently looked at the temple in front of him. There are traces of formations, Mingzi said in his heart, and it is a very complex formation. Indeed. The Kunlun Mirror scanned for a while and came to the same conclusion, and then said, "Do you feel that the pattern layout of this formation is a bit familiar?" "What you said is true," Mingzi thought carefully, "but I don't remember learning a similar formation. This formation is centered on the Buddhist temple, extending in all directions and gradually disappearing into the void. Since we can't get a glimpse of the whole picture, it is difficult to judge what kind of formation it is. But from this layout, the size of this formation must be astonishingly large, and it should be related to the entire cave heaven. Since it is related to the entire cave heaven, it is most likely a sect protection formation." Su Mingjian also said casually, "Isn't this kind of formation very common?" "You don't understand." Mingzi smiled. The general sect protection formation is to prevent a large number of hostile monks from breaking into the sect's residence. But this is a cave heaven, naturally isolated from the outside world. Ordinary cultivators can't even find the entrance to the cave heaven, let alone break in, so why bother to set up such a huge formation? Look at the previous Shenangjia secret realm. Why didn't there be a large sect protection formation against us? Because if you want to enter the secret realm, you can basically only go through the passage of the Red Dust 100 Worlds map. If the spirit of the weapon doesn't open the passage, you can't get in. Not everyone has a space-type treasure like the Tianu Divine Shuttle. So this Jing'an temple has set up such a large formation connecting the entire cave heaven. It must not only be for defense, but there must be some other purpose. "Oh?" Su Mingjian asked with a smile. "Then Lord Sword Master, what is the purpose of this Jing'an temple?" Of course, Mingzi was about to make up a story, but saw someone coming out of the temple gate again. It was still the sweeping monk from before, but the little monk who saw the nature was gone. "Master, please follow me," the other party said in a hard tone. Although he called him master, he didn't seem to be very respectful. Instead, he seemed to be indifferent and numb. Mingzi followed the sweeping monk into the temple gate. As his eyes turned, he quickly memorized the terrain and environment along the way. When he arrived at the main hall, Mingzi saw an old monk standing in the middle of the hall, looking at him expressionlessly. In general, the main hall of Buddhism often has Buddha statues for worship, but the main hall of Jinghan Temple is empty. The old monk stood in the middle of the empty hall. His eyes were also dull, his face was haggard, and his eyes were staring straight at him. "Mingzi, Master Mingzi of Buddha Temple?" the old monk asked. "It is me," Mingzi said hurriedly. Regardless of what is written on the certificate, it is the identity certificate arranged by the hell, so he just has to admit it. "Okay." The old monk forced out a smile that was uglier than crying, and said dryly, "Your temple's material support for our Jinghan Temple is really timely, just like a long drought and a good rain." Ha. Although Mingzi didn't know what material support was, he instantly guessed that it was in the name of the Hell Road, pretending to be Buddha Temple, and asked the young monk Jianxing to pass it on to the abbot, and then smiled and said, "It's just a worldly thing, what's the point? Besides, I was ordered to come to your temple to study Buddhism and sharpen my Buddha nature. I will have to bother you for a while, so this little support is justified." Okay. The old monk nodded and said, "Master Mingzi can stay here as long as he wants." That, Jian. Then a young monk with a delicate face and eyes came in trotting from outside, bowed to the ground, and called himself the abbot. "Take Master Mingzi to the east wing to find a secluded place to live and settle down," the old monk instructed. Mingzi looked at the young monk and found that his spirit was intact and his face was full of vigor, which was completely different from those adult monks with mostly white eyes, small pupils and haggard appearance. The young monk agreed repeatedly, and only heard the old monk say to Mingzi, "This east wing is where the distinguished guests and senior monks live. The west wing is where the monks and handymen live. We usually worship Buddha, chant scriptures, and study scriptures, which are basically in the front hall. Master, you'll know once you go there. In addition, the back hall is a dirty place. Master, you must not step into it, so as not to be contaminated by the fishy smell. Remember this." Mingzi naturally agreed to all the questions, but he felt strange in his heart. Dirty place? This statement is strange. In the mortal world, such a place is generally referred to as a toilet or a place where pigs and sheep are slaughtered. But monks do not need to eat or excrete, let alone slaughter sheep and cattle, so where do the dirty places come from? In order to avoid the other party's suspicion, Mingzi pretended to be indifferent, but secretly made up his mind to find a time to ask about Jianxing later. Chapter 902 Big Monitor compared to Jianxing, who lowered his head and spoke in a stammering manner, Jian, the young monk, was much more cheerful. His eyes were rolling all the way. He wanted to ask questions but was afraid of offending the distinguished guest, so he could only scratch his head. Mingzi saw his anxious look and laughed in his heart. Of course, he had no interest in answering the questions of a curious little monk, but Jianxing, the traitor, was not here at the moment, and he did have some questions to ask, so Mingzi said as if he was chatting casually, "Jian, I have a question. Why is this Jinghan Temple called Jinghan Temple?" Jian was slightly stunned and replied, "Master, I really don't know." "Oh?" Mingzi said with a smile, "How long have you been here?" "I have been practicing in this temple for about 5 or 6 years. Jian said embarrassedly, "Since I started practicing, this temple has been called Jinghan Temple, so I really don't know why it is named this." "It doesn't matter." Mingzi waved his hand gently, "The Sutra Library is in the front hall, right?" The Sutra Library, Mingxin Hall, and Chuanfa Hall are all in the front hall. Jian replied quickly. "So that's how it is." Mingzi chanted a Buddhist name. "The host just said that there is a dirty place in the back hall, so you are not allowed to enter without permission. Is this dirty place referring to the toilet?" Here he played a trick, not asking what is it directly, but knowing that this answer must be wrong, he deliberately asked is it this to arouse the other party's desire to refute. Of course not. Jian was fooled directly, and first subconsciously denied it, and then said, "In there." He suddenly shuddered violently, and hurriedly bowed his head and prayed Amitabha, and said carefully, "Master, don't ask, I don't know anything." "No, you know." Mingzi looked at Jian coldly, knowing that the other party was not on guard, but knew that there was something terrible hidden in the back hall, so he subconsciously didn't want to get involved too much in this topic. In this way, Mingzi became more interested in what was hidden in the back hall. I must find Jinxing to ask later. When he was led by Jian to the east wing and found his residence, he saw the little monk running away without looking back, completely lacking the agility and curiosity he had before. Mingzi didn't care, but just sat in meditation on the bed. At midnight, there was indeed a knock on the door. "Master, I'll get the Buddhist scriptures you asked for." Hearing the stuttering voice, Mingzi laughed secretly and said, "Come in." The little monk Jinxing stumbled in with a stack of Buddhist scriptures in his arms. Mingzi saw that he was struggling and was about to speak, but he heard Jinxing suddenly whisper to him, "Don't talk too much. The abbot already knows what you asked Jian before." "Oh?" Mingzi thought for a moment and asked, "Did Jian tell you?" "No." Jinxing didn't continue to explain, but just said, "In Jing'an Temple, you must be careful with what you say and do, in case there are ears on the other side of the wall." "Why don't you stutter?" Mingzi asked in surprise. "It's not important." Jinxing said angrily, "I can't stay here for too long, I'm leaving first." "Wait, I still have some questions to ask," Mingzi asked hurriedly. "How can I contact you?" The other party hesitated, and finally said, "I will contact you, just wait, don't cause me trouble." After that, the young monk Jinxing bowed his head and chanted Amitabha, then silently backed away. "Interesting, really interesting." Mingzi smiled in his heart and said, "What kind of dragon's den and tiger's lair is this Jing'an Temple?" The young monk Jian didn't choose to tell me what I said, so how did the abbot know? "There was a bug buried on the side of the road, right?" "What is a bug?" Kumlinjing asked curiously. "It's a kind of magic that can record all the sounds within a specified range." Mingzi suddenly had an idea. "Wait, do you think it's the formation that covers the entire temple?" Thinking of this, Mingzi began to scan the surroundings again, carefully observing and pondering the formation under his feet. "Sure enough, I knew it." He sneered again. "This formation is not mainly for external use, but for internal use. It can not only monitor all sounds within the cave, but even the every move of the monks in the temple cannot be hidden from the other party's eyes and ears. This is a large internal surveillance camera." "Then why does the abbot do this?" Suming Jian asked curiously. "Monitoring the entire temple, because you are worried that there is a traitor. In other words, everyone may become a traitor." Mingzi said very confidently, "Only when the abbot thinks that all monks are untrustworthy will he adopt this exaggerated method of monitoring the entire temple. And this method must be related to the back hall where people are not allowed to enter." "Then are you planning to explore the back hall?" Kumlinjing asked. "No." Mingzi said, "Although the old monk must be waiting for me to explore the back hall, if I run over there on the first day, doesn't it mean that I came here for this purpose, and I am a spy with bad intentions? Rest here for a while first, and then because I'm free and curious, I'll walk around the back hall. When it comes to acting, you have to play the whole show." Yijing and Jian saw that he was confident and didn't ask any more questions. Mingzi casually put the Buddhist scriptures that the little monk brought on his legs and spread them out to read them, only to hear Kumlinjing suddenly ask, "Then you stay here for a while, what about your wife?" Jian moaned. Mingzi was stunned for a moment, which was a bit of a headache. "How about Darjin, you pretend to be Wei Dongliu and teleport out to hold her for me?" he asked with an idea. "I don't want to." Kumlinjing blushed and spat at him. "What do you and Jian Gmona do most on weekdays? Have you forgotten? Now you want me to pretend to be you to deal with her. Aren't you afraid that I will cheat on you?" "No, I don't have that kind of fetish, and I won't do that kind of thing with that witch." "Why not?" Mingzi showed a surprised look. "Jin, I'm here to help you get the fragments of the sky-making stone. You don't want me to be unable to devote all my energy because I'm worried about a fire in the backyard, right?" "Don't say it." Kumlan Mirror interrupted him. "It's impossible anyway. Impossible is impossible." The mirror began to speak incoherently. Mingzi was slightly startled, and then quickly reacted. Fortunately, a Jing is not a fierce spirit that men and women can eat. Otherwise, if he met Madame Jing who didn't know the truth, wouldn't it be like a sheep walking into a tiger's mouth? No, I always feel that Madame Jing may not be deceived by a Jing, and it's not certain who will eat whom at the time. Thinking of this, Mingzi didn't mention the matter of letting a Jing pretend to be himself, but just silently read books at night, looking immersed in Buddhism. Chapter 903. Sandalwood Coffin Formation. On the first day, he studied Buddhist scriptures. On the second day, he studied Buddhist scriptures. On the third day, he watched the water. What about the plan to seize the fragment of the heaven-repairing stone? He couldn't indulge in it anymore. On the fourth day, he studied Buddhist scriptures. Of course, what he read was not formal Buddhist teachings, but some interesting Buddhist anecdotes. The main reason was that he had just arrived and had to make the other party let down their guard, so he couldn't do anything but read. After a while, even the guard monk in charge of the Sutra Pavilion became familiar with him. The monks in this temple are very strange. The little novice monks look relatively normal, but the adult monks often have haggard faces and haggard expressions, as if they have been severely squeezed by 996. Mingzi also asked the guard monk in a roundabout way, but the other party just laughed it off. It seems that this matter is indeed a secret that cannot be told in Jing'an Temple. It is obviously a small temple, how can it hide so many secrets? Mingzi sneered in his heart, but he didn't care on the surface. He said goodbye to the guarding monk and left. Jin, have you seen any clues? On the way back to the room, Mingzi asked Jin quietly. Yes. Jin replied, this monk has no cultivation. No cultivation means that he is immortal. Whether it is the monk guarding the Sutra library, the monks passing by, or the old monk who is the abbot, they all have no magic power, as if they are all ordinary people. But even if you use your cerebellum, you know that if the Jing'an Temple is full of monks without any magic power, and it is isolated from the outside world, it would have been violently flattened by the hell. Here, Mingzi narrowed his eyes slightly. There must be great terror hidden in this temple, which is why the immortal leader Luo Duchan dared not to come by force, and could only send people to lurk secretly and take it slowly. In this case, we can't act rashly. The old monk deliberately told me that no matter where I go, I can't go to the back hall. It was so mysterious, it was obviously to lure me in. If the back hall was really a forbidden area, why would you just tell people not to go there without telling them why? Even if you lied and said that the back hall was a place to worship the temple's predecessors and offer incense and tablets, I would not bother to break in, okay? He returned to his room calmly and continued to study Buddhist scriptures. After a few days, Mingzi still maintained a stable daily routine of borrowing books and reading, as if he really came here to study Buddhism. Suddenly, someone came to visit him, saying that the abbot wanted to see him. Mingzi followed the monk to the main hall, and saw the old monk standing in the middle of the empty main hall as before, smiling and asking him, Master Mingzi has been staying in my temple for a few days. Is there anything I haven't treated you well enough? Amitabha. Mingzi chanted the Buddha's name and said seriously, as long as a monk has a calm mind, everything is practice, so how can there be a saying of not treating you well enough? The old monk was stunned for a moment, as if he had never thought that the foreign monk in front of him would actually say such a Buddhist saying. After a while, he smiled and said, That's good, that's good. The two chatted for a few more words, and the absent-minded old monk sent Mingzi away. This foreign monk, is he really here to study Buddhism? No matter, since he didn't show any intention of coveting the back hall, he can stay here as long as he wants. There is no shortage of such a residence in the temple. But if he really has bad intentions, humph. The old monk turned around and left, while Mingzi returned to the side room and immediately said to Jing, The time is ripe, let's go to the back hall tonight. Why? Jing asked in surprise, how do you know the time is ripe? Extremely xenophobic sects like this often have a certain period of observation for new outsiders. Mingzi said confidently, the observation period has ended, and there are still no suspicious points, but they dare not make a final judgment, so they called me to test it. And my answer was flawless, which made him dispel all his suspicions, so he let me go. Isn't this the best time to explore the back hall? These are all your subjective guesses, right? Jing wanted to complain like this, but he was really tired of reading Buddhist scriptures recently, so he agreed. Mingzi made up his mind and asked Jing to cast an illusion on him to ensure that everything was foolproof. Then, he left the side room at night and sneaked towards the back hall. In the direction of the main hall, the lights were brightly lit at this time. A large number of monks in the temple gathered here and began to perform the evening class ceremony. The sound of wooden fish knocking and the grand Buddhist chanting resounded throughout the temple, giving people a sense of transcendence and emptiness. The timing I chose was not bad, Mingzi thought secretly in his heart. When he came to the edge of the back hall, he saw that this area was separated from the main hall by a long wall. The wall was about 10 feet high, with a powdered surface, smooth and difficult to climb. It might be helpless for ordinary people, but it was effortless for monks. After Mingzi scanned and confirmed that there were no formation traps, he made an easy leap and quickly climbed over the wall and fell to the ground. There is a strange smell in the air. It seems like sandalwood. It is not surprising that Buddhists usually use sandalwood to calm the mind. But is the smell too strong? Could it be that they are deliberately covering up the smell of another existence? Mingzi thought secretly in his heart and simply looked for the source of the sandalwood scent. Soon, he came to the door of a hall. This temple looked inconspicuous, with no plaque on it. It seemed to be an abandoned old temple. After confirming that there were no traps, Mingzi walked in with an indifferent expression. The next moment, the calm expression on his face was a little bit unbearable. Because the temple was filled with a large number of sandalwood coffins. All the coffins were not sealed, and there were corpses inside. They were all dressed in grey hats and monk robes, with smooth heads and no hair. They were undoubtedly monks. Mingzi wandered among the coffins and was surprised to find many familiar old faces. Whether it was the monks who guarded the gate and swept the floor, or the monks who guarded the suitor library, their bodies were in these coffins. The only one missing was the presiding monk. In addition, the bodies of all the young monks were missing. Thinking about it carefully, it was not surprising. If the young monks in the temple were all killed and replaced, then no two would naturally not be able to escape alone. Mingzi stared at the coffins and confirmed that these coffins were all Dharma instruments, and their function was to preserve the bodies. Why were all the adult monks killed and their bodies hidden here, while the children were left alone? And what were those monks outside? Chapter 904 Analysis. So all the adult monks outside are fake. Mingzi stared at the monk in the coffin, frowning and saying nothing. He would say a few words to the monk who guarded the suitor library every day when he went to borrow books. The other party's voice, appearance and smile were no different from those of ordinary people, but he didn't expect that the real person would die here. Wait, it's not that there is nothing strange at all. The haggard appearance, the withered complexion, the weak speech, and the white of the eyes more than the pupils are all obvious strange symptoms, but I have seen them so many times that I subconsciously ignored them. What is the connection between these symptoms and fake monks? After confirming that he had left no trace, Mingzi quietly returned to the east wing. When passing by the main hall, he could hear that the ceremony over there had not ended yet, and it seemed that no one had discovered him. The next morning, Mingzi woke up slowly from his meditation and heard the young monk knocking on the door outside. The surveillance capabilities of the Jing'an temple are almost omnipresent. Even Mingzi's casual question to Jian on the roadside was quickly known by the abbot. If Jiangxing visited frequently, the abbot would definitely be suspicious. Mingzi had Jing's magic to protect him, so he could go to all places in the temple. But Jiangxing, the second spy of the hell, did not have such great ability, so he only came to clean the Zen room for Master Mingzi every 1 or 2 days, secretly communicating with each other and exchanging information. Number 9 went to the back hall last night. Jiangxing asked in a voice transmission while sweeping the floor with a broom. Yes. Mingzi held the Buddhist scriptures in his hand and answered calmly, how did you know? Guessed. Jiangxing said, it's already this time. If you don't go and check it out, I really thought you were a monk studying Buddhism. As long as you don't reveal any flaws and get spied on. Mingzi breathed a sigh of relief. What's the scene in the back hall? Jiangxing continued to ask. You haven't explored it? Mingzi asked him back. I have explored it. Jiangxing said, the reason why I practiced this secret technique of concealing my breath was to avoid the ears and eyes of the temple and explore the back hall. It's just that I didn't explore the secrets in the back hall, but made my breath weak. Let's not talk about this. What did you see in the back hall? No. 9. Let's verify what we saw, check for omissions and fill in the gaps, so that we can analyze it as soon as possible. This no. 2 Spy stuttered when speaking normally, but he was eloquent when transmitting sound. Mingzi smiled secretly in his heart and said, in that case, I'll tell you first. I went to the back hall and saw many sandalwood coffins. Exactly. Jiangxing echoed, and in the coffins, the bodies of the monks in the temple were lying. That's right. Mingzi continued, but there were only adult monks, but no child novices. In addition, the body of the abbot was not among them. It's the same as what I saw. Jiangxing said in a gloomy tone, the huge Jing'an temple has already been occupied by a Gurkhu, which is really strange. Although this is the case, there are still many doubts. Mingzi said slowly, first, since someone has killed someone to replace him, the bodies should be destroyed. But why did they preserve these bodies and deliberately display them in the back hall without any cover-up? I think it was done on purpose for us to see. Jiangxing said, a cunning rabbit has 3 burrows, and each layer is a hindrance. You are not allowed to see the first layer, what you see is the second layer, and the real third layer is still hidden underneath. The second is the issue of quantity. Mingzi continued, if they kill people to replace them, Why did they kill only adult monks and not children? In addition, the abbot's body has not been found. Is he not dead, or is he hidden alone? I know a thing or two about this. Jinxing replied, the adult monks in the temple were all born inside this cave, and many child monks were adopted from the outside world. Oh? Mingzi asked in surprise, Buddhists are not allowed to marry, so how can they give birth? Number 9, you don't know. Jinxing sighed and replied, ordinary Buddhists are indeed not allowed to marry, but they recruit Buddhists from outside to practice in the temple. If they are old and pass away and the number of monks decreases, they will recruit from outside to maintain a stable number of monks in the temple. But this Jing'an temple is different. The monks are passed down from father to son, and the sons succeed the fathers. After the child is born, he is raised by his mother in the town at the foot of the mountain. When they reach the age of 20, they must marry and have children. When they reach the age of 30, they must leave the town and go up the mountain to the temple to become monks and practice. This goes on and on, generation after generation, so that Jing'an temple does not need to communicate with the outside world and can ensure the normal replacement of new and old monks in the temple. But for some reason, about 7 or 8 years ago, an earthquake suddenly occurred in this cave. Earthquake? Mingzi asked in surprise. Your cave has been isolated from Shanzhou and has become an independent world, how can there be an earthquake? Well, I don't know the details. Jinxing said faintly, in short, the earthquake almost destroyed the entire town at the foot of the mountain, and no one survived. Not only did they lose the source of monks, but also all the supplies of materials were cut off. Jing'an temple had to open the door of the cave heaven and ask for help from the Buddhist sects outside. They also adopted children from the outside world and brought them into the temple to raise as novice monks. It was from then on that our sect discovered the traces of Jing'an temple and let me sneak in to spy on the information. So that's it. Mingzi immediately understood. In other words, the monks in Jing'an temple are actually divided into 2 groups. One part is adult monks, that is, the monks who were killed in the back hall, who were born and raised in this cave heaven. The other part is underage novice monks, all of whom were adopted from the outside world. Thinking of this, a very natural answer emerged from the depths of my heart. The earthquake 7 or 8 years ago seemed to have another hidden story. It not only took the lives of the residents of the town at the foot of the mountain, but also killed the monks in Jing'an temple. Then, for some unknown reason, a large number of usurpers came and pretended to be the dead monks, and continued to run that Jing'an temple. Speaking of which, no. 2, Mingzi suddenly asked, have you noticed that all these monks outside look very strange? You mean they have no blood, right? Jinxing said, indeed, I thought they were practicing withered wood zen, but it's strange that they have no blood at all. Withered wood zen? Mingzi thought about it for a while, and then denied this possibility. Withered wood zen is to practice the body to exhaustion, but the essence of the soul is getting stronger and stronger. It is a side door that feeds the soul with the body. And these faith monks in Jing'an temple are not only physically emaciated, but also very weak in spirit. If withered wood zen can be practiced to this extent, it is suggested to change the name to suicide zen. It seems, I have to find an opportunity to go to the abandoned town at the foot of the mountain to find out. Chapter 905. Wandering Sphere, right. Jing'an temple was built on the mountainside, about 100 feet from the top of the mountain. Going up is the top of the mountain, with a spring on the top. The monks in the temple sent people up the mountain to fetch water every day. Going down is a winding mountain road, passing through the sea of clouds, and no one knows where it leads. Now it seems that it is necessary to explore. The monks in the temple have morning and evening classes every day. After the morning class, everyone dispersed. It was not convenient to walk around in the temple to cover up the traces, so they chose to set out at the evening class time. As usual, a jinn was cast on an illusion to cover his sight and hearing. Going down the mountain road, the surrounding clouds and fog became thicker and thicker, making people feel like they were in the deep sea. I don't know how long I walked, but the fog finally gradually dissipated. Mingzi looked around and found that he was on a ruin. I think it was probably the original site of the town that Jinxing mentioned. It was completely destroyed. Mingzi looked at it expressionlessly, and saw only broken bricks and tiles everywhere, bumpy and uneven, without even a place to stand. Among the rubble and broken stones, you can vaguely see fragments of wooden furniture, the remains of the stove iron pot, etc., which are also broken into pieces and mixed with the construction waste on the ground. He suddenly bent down and stared at the rubble on the ground. What's wrong? Su Mingjin asked curiously. It's broken too badly. Mingzi replied, it doesn't look like an earthquake. If it was caused by an earthquake, the building would probably be broken cross-sectionally, and it is unlikely to become so finely broken. For example, if an earthquake is compared to a chef shaking the pot, then looking at the broken state of the wreckage here, it is more like being stir-fried and tossed vigorously. Well said. Kumlinjin added, let me tell you, this is actually caused by space vibration. Space vibration? Mingzi asked curiously, what is that? It's almost the same as your analogy. Kumlinjin replied, the iron pan is stir-fried, except that it is stir-fried in space. Under what circumstances will space vibration occur? Mingzi asked with a frown. He felt that he was vaguely close to the truth. Rarely. Kumlan Mirror replied, if this cave is compared to a ball, then under what circumstances will the inside of the ball be shaken? Of course, someone is hitting the ball outside. Name said thoughtfully, you mean, someone is using magic to attack this cave? No. Kumlan Mirror denied, think about it, even the overwhelming and massive magic you have seen is just a drop in the ocean compared to the size of the entire world. Using the ball as an analogy, these spells are like some dust inside the ball, how can they shake the ball itself? You're right, but this is a cave. Mingzi touched his chin and said, the scale of the cave is certainly not comparable to the cultivation world, so it can be shaken as a whole. In addition, the formation with Jinghan Temple as the center and throughout the cave, I have roughly understood it. It should be that someone activated the formation, causing the entire cave to vibrate, so all the residents of the town and the monks in the temple were killed. At this point, Mingzi felt that this guess was a bit wrong. What about the motive? Is there any benefit for the operator of the formation to activate a formation, induce space vibration, and kill all the monks in the cave? No, think about it again. First of all, this formation that covers the entire cave cannot be secretly arranged by someone. It is most likely the work of the Jinghan Temple itself. The question is, why did the temple set up such a giant formation that can produce space vibration and is almost suicidal? In my opinion, this formation should have another purpose. Mingzi pondered for a long time and said slowly, space vibration is just its side effect. We still have to start with the Jinghan Temple formation and study it further. Yes. Kumlan Mirror agreed, I'll scan it for you too. Mingzi turned on the scanning mode again. He saw that the pattern of the formation continued along the mounting, almost penetrating every rock. After reaching the foot of the mounting, it extended in all directions. It was indeed a giant formation that covered the entire cave, and its complexity was also extraordinary. Mingzi suddenly had an idea and exclaimed in his heart, I know where I have seen a similar formation. Kumlan Mirror and Suming sawdust at the same time. The great formation to patch the sky. Mingzi said with great certainty, the bamboo slips that Wang Xi and Immortal gave me mentioned that the formation designed by Midway to patch up the sky was just like this. The mirror and the sword were stunned, while Mingzi's mind was boiling at this time, and his mind was extremely sharp. He stared at the formations around him and said quickly, it's really good. This is not a formation to monitor the whole temple, nor is it a formation to oscillate space. This is a sky formation. It wraps the entire cave heaven in an artificial sky. Even if the outside world of cultivation is completely destroyed, it will not affect this cave heaven. This is the sky formation that Wang Xi and Immortal originally envisioned, which can protect the entire sect from the great disaster of world destruction. There was a long silence. Why don't you speak? Mingzi frowned and asked in confusion. Seeing that the sword master was so excited after discovering the truth, we dare not disturb your interest. Suming Sword laughed. If you have something to say, please speak up. Mingzi said impatiently, is there anything wrong with my analysis just now? No problem. Kumlan Mirror asked in confusion, but if that's the case, why would this sky formation cause space vibrations and kill the lives in the space? Master Sword Master just said that. Suming Jian said calmly, this formation is not designed to cause space vibrations. To be precise, space vibrations are just a kind of price. What price? Kumlan Mirror asked. Balling the ball. Suming Jian said with a smile, I ask you. If you know that a world-destroying disaster is about to happen, so you want to create such a sky formation to protect the sect. Then, when the formation is finally built, what will you want to do next? What to do? One person and one mirror also pondered. The sky that was repaired by the sky repairing stone could not support the world-destroying disaster for a long time. For a small cave heaven like this, after barely being able to survive the destruction of the world, the next step must be to think about how to escape. Could it be Mingzi had a flash of inspiration again, and remembered a movie he had watched before. Jing'an Temple intends to take the entire sky and the entire sect to ascend to the nearest fairyland. Kunlin was also stunned when he heard this. Ascending with the entire sect, it sounds like a fantasy, but it seems not impossible when you think about it. You know, this world has entered the late stage of its lifespan, and the fairyland closest to this world is completely safe. Instead of lingering in the world after destruction, it is better to escape to the fairyland, which is a life-saving move once and for all. If ordinary cultivators want to go to the fairyland, they can only rely on the power of ascension. Otherwise, even if they forcefully break through the sky, they cannot withstand the chaotic turbulence of the world outside the sky. But with this sky formation, the Jing'an Temple cave heaven can be wrapped into a hard ball to resist the attack of the chaotic turbulence. Then, using some grand means, the entire cave was hit like a ball, causing it to be subjected to huge external force and blasted towards the fairyland, and the space vibration was the best proof that the cave was bombarded. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 906. Formulate a strategy. Facing the catastrophe of world destruction, different people have different attitudes. Most people must think that I should ascend quickly and not stay in this world that is about to be destroyed. This is fast, safe, and not troublesome. Isn't it wonderful? However, it is only 1,000 years away from the destruction of the world. It is definitely too late for the Jinnan realm monks to become immortals, and most of the Yuning realm monks will also suffer. What should these fellow disciples do? So there are people with lofty ambitions, such as the Penglai Wangxiang Immortal, who want to protect the sect quickly, at least for those monks who are not in a good realm, to win the last development time. And the great power who created this Jing'an Temple must have the same plan, right? For such people with selfless love, Mingzi has always held a very respectful, admiring, and respectful attitude. Therefore, he made a difficult decision to steal the fragment of the sky repairing stone that maintains the sky formation of this cave, and then use it to repair the sky, so that there will be no space shocks that harm the monks. Wonderful. Your pain will be borne by me in the future. Mingzi calmly crossed the ruins of the town and continued to move forward. The town was built on a flat ground at the foot of the mountain. Further ahead was a huge rift valley that surrounded the town and the entire mountain range. It seemed that this was the boundary of the cave. He silently turned on the scanning mode and saw dense rooms climbing up from the bottom of the rift valley, converging at the end of the sky above the top of the mountain, forming a huge semicircular shield. Continuing to look at the bottom of the rift valley, Mingzi smiled and said, "Looking at the trend of the cliffs of this rift valley, I'm afraid someone has installed a nuclear power jet engine at the bottom, otherwise it wouldn't be broken so round." "What is nuclear power?" Su Mingjian asked. "What is a jet engine?" Kumlinjing also asked. "You don't need to know." Mingzi calmly ordered, "A Jin, where exactly is the fragment of the heaven repairing stone?" "Located for me." Kumlin mirror. She quickly enlarged the scanning range and patiently scanned inch by inch, only to hear Mingzi say again, "No need." Judging from the current formation, this fragment of the heaven repairing stone, as a weapon to suppress the formation, must be located in the center of the formation, that is, the center of the cave. "The center of this world," Kumlan Mira pondered for a moment and said, "It seems to be under the Buddhist temple. In the mountain. You can use the 5 elements divine light to penetrate it." Su Mingjian suggested. "Don't be in a hurry." Mingzi thought for a moment and shook his head. "We have to find out what backup plan the Jing'an Temple has. Otherwise, as soon as I snatch the Gutian stone, some old monster will be alarmed over there and come out to slap me to death. Wouldn't that be a bad idea? Where did so many old monsters come from?" Su Mingjian said with a smile, "Master Swordmaster is now in the nascent soul stage and a first-grade immortal infant. He can even compete with immortals who come down to earth. Is he afraid of this small Jing'an Temple?" "What do you mean by competing with immortals?" Mingzi immediately complained, "If I could beat the immortals, why would I need to lie dormant with so many small accounts? They can only barely have the strength to protect themselves and escape. Isn't that enough?" Su Mingjian instigated, "Rob the booty and stone fragments, and then directly ask a Jin to teleport you out. Anyway, the Jing'an Temple cave is isolated from the world. Not to mention the theft of the booty and stone fragments, it doesn't matter even if the cave is blown up. No, it is somewhat related. Mingzi thought carefully for a moment and said, no. Tu is monitoring in the temple. If there is any big movement, the Hell Road will inevitably suspect me. Besides, I am lurking here to practice. On the surface, I am asked to collect information. If I leave rashly, how can I explain to the Hell Road? In this case, wait until the Hell Road lets you go, and then take action on the heaven repairing stone. Kumlin Jing suggested. Well, Mingzi said lightly, if I continue to do nothing, the Hell Road will probably be restless. In the next few days, Mingzi really restrained himself a lot. There were a few days when he was too lazy to borrow Buddhist scriptures. He stayed in his own room all day. Don't ask what he does, just sleep. The presiding monk didn't say anything, probably because he was no longer wary of him. Jinxing couldn't hold back any longer, and while cleaning the room, he whispered in secret. Number 9, so many days have passed, have you found out anything? Number 2, Mingzi asked him indifferently, what did you find out? I didn't. Jinxing seemed a little embarrassed and reminded him, don't forget, the sect master asked you to come and help me because he thought I was too slow in collecting intelligence. I know you're in a hurry, but don't be in a hurry. Mingzi said slowly, the situation in Jing'an Temple is indeed weird and complicated, and it's hard to start. Let me ask you, have you ever tried to break in violently? I think the monks in the temple don't seem to have any cultivation. Don't be violent. Jinxing said depressedly, a few years ago, there was a monk in the temple who rebelled. Rebellion? Mingzi asked in surprise, tell me in detail. Well, I don't know why, but they just fought. Jinxing answered hesitantly, a bunch of people surrounded the main hall and asked the abbot to give an explanation. Then what? Then it exploded right where it stood. Jinxing said. Mingzi. Explode on the spot, what does that mean? It means exactly what it says. Jinxing replied, there are no signs of any spells or formations being activated. Of course, it may also be that my cultivation is too low and I can't see it. Anyway, all the monks exploded on the spot, and the ground in front of the main hall was stained red with blood and flesh. There was not a single clean place. The young monks who witnessed it at the time were all ordered to keep silent. But what's even more bizarre is that about a month later, the monks who exploded reappeared in the temple, and their words and deeds were exactly the same as before they died. Such an evil place, if you say you want to force your way in, it's not impossible. You try it first and let me see. If you really get some useful information, it will be a great contribution to our sect. Ha, I'm just talking. Mingzi decisively changed the subject. What did those monks want the abbot to give? An explanation. What explanation? I don't know. Jinxing said, we young monks are watching from all around, and they probably didn't dare to tell us, but just shouted to the abbot, we can't wait any longer, we must give a clear explanation that's interesting. Mingzi began to think, after the explosion and rebirth, do they still have the previous memories? Yes. Jinxing hesitated for a moment and replied, although I didn't dare to test it, seeing the way they looked at the host, it seems that they are more awed and frightened than before. Of course, it may be my illusion. Nothing is certain, everything is possible. Your intelligence workability is really too bad, no wonder Taoist Ludo called me here to clean up your mess. Mingzi was a little dissatisfied with Jinxing's statement, but considering that this place is really weird, and this Tu is just a slightly scheming child, it is normal for him to be trembling and unable to let go of his hands and feet in danger. Speaking of which, what exactly is the means of making people explode on the spot? It's space vibration. Kumlan Mira suddenly said. Chapter 907. Conscience. For example, if you line up dates on a table in a straight line and then shake the table vigorously, the dates will roll around and will not form a straight line. Similarly, when the space vibrates, the countless flesh and blood that originally made up your body will be forced to leave their original positions, causing your body to directly disintegrate and die. There is no magic, and there is no trace of the formation being activated. This is the typical characteristic of space vibration. Well, Mingzi sneered in his heart, so space vibration is not only a byproduct of moving the cave, but also a weapon that the opponent can master. By the way, is there any way to defend against space vibration? Don't get hit. Kumlan Mira replied, space vibration has great destructive power to any body, but it has little damage to those without a fixed form, such as souls. At this point, she suddenly stopped strangely. Mingzi also kept silent, and both the person and the mirror thought of a key at the same time. If you want to ascend with your sect, it will inevitably cause space vibration. After a long time, Mingzi said slowly, and space vibration will inevitably cause the body to disintegrate. Then, isn't it enough to just abandon the body? Kunlun Mirror also said slowly. What are you two talking about? Su Mingjian asked in confusion, abandoning the physical body. Isn't that the way of ghost cultivation? That's ghost cultivation. Mingzi slapped his thigh and said, the eyes are lifeless, the face is haggard, and there is no blood at all. What else can they be but zombies? In order to avoid the space shock during the displacement of the celestial sphere, all the monks of Jing'an Temple are turned into ghost cultivators. Kumlinjing also said in a deep voice, for them, the soul is their origin, which can ensure that they are not harmed by space shock. And the physical body, or the corpse, is just a temporary disposable container for the soul, a carrier that can be replaced at any time. Why can you draw so many conclusions based on reasoning alone? Su Mingjian said in surprise. Mingzi did not explain it, but discussed with Kunlun Mirror. If so, there must be a place in the temple for needing flesh and blood and making corpses. As long as we can find this place, all the previous inferences will be verified. I say. Jianxing, who was left aside, finally couldn't help but whispered, 9, you look so thoughtful, have you come to any conclusions? Yes. Mingzi nodded solemnly, I feel that the back hall of Jing'an Temple must be hiding a big secret. Jianxing couldn't help but curse, then stood up and stammered. Cleaning is done. I'll take my leave. He left cursing in his heart, while Mingzi sat cross-legged on the bed, thinking quickly in his heart. Su Mingjian was not wrong when he said just relying on reasoning, but he was indeed thinking hard day and night these days, thinking about the strange reasons behind Jing'an Temple, otherwise he would not have guessed that the monks had turned into ghost cultivators so quickly. With the soul body, resisting the spatial vibration caused by the movement of the celestial sphere, it feels like the space travel in science fiction novels. In order to make the body resist the acceleration, the consciousness is uploaded to the computer. Of course, this is far-fetched. It can only be said that human imagination is really infinite. Even among the Buddhist monks in this world, there are many ambitious people who want to fight against the sky with human power. Even I am not willing to accept this fucked up status quo. After a few days, the old monk seemed to have completely forgotten about this foreign monk, and usually would not invite him to ask questions. Jianxing couldn't sit still. He felt that the ability of No. 9 was previously exaggerated by Taoist Luo, but after entering the bottomless mud pit of Jing'an Temple, he was still helpless like me. So Taoist Luo in the hell soon got the news and notified No. 9 that he could retire after success and come back to report on his work. Mingzi knew that it was because his work had not produced any results, so he gladly obeyed the organization's arrangements and said goodbye to the presiding monk and left. Master Mingzi, are you leaving now? The old monk tried to persuade him to stay. Why don't you stay for a while? There are many rare Buddhist scriptures in the pavilion for you to appreciate. Master, you don't have to stay any longer. Mingzi said with a smile on his face. Come when you're interested and leave when you are not. If you force it, it will be inferior. That's good, that's good. The old monk was a little suspicious at first, thinking that this man might be a spy. After getting the information, he now plans to leave, but thinking carefully, this man stays in the wing room every day and doesn't seem to have much contact with the monks in the temple. That's it, I must be overthinking. It's better to leave, after all, there will be fewer variables. With a smile on his face, Mingzi came to a place on the mountainside. The old monk bowed and chanted a Buddhist name, saying, Then, let's say goodbye. Mingzi suddenly became alert, thinking that this bald donkey would not teleport him to some sea of fire and swords. However, probably to maintain the relationship with Puji Temple, he appeared in the wilderness before the world spun. Wei Dongliu's sword light rose up and quickly circled around, roughly confirming that he was already in the southern part of Shenzhou. He removed his disguise, returned to Mount Watai, and found the previous mountain temple, but there was no trace of any temple in the original place. Only a piece of broken walls and ruins were left. No way, in order to maintain the teleportation formation, even the original temple had to be demolished. Donor. A voice sounded behind him. Wei Dongliu looked back and saw a familiar fortune teller looking at him with a smile. If you want to find the mountain temple to burn incense, go about 2 miles south from here, and there is another one on the top of the mountain. Thank you. Wei Dongliu nodded. Arriving at the new mountain temple, he teleported back to the depths of hell and met Taoist Luo in the station. Wei Dongliu did not keep it a secret and told Taoist Luo his speculation. Let the Golden Cicada Temple's cave fly to the fairy land. Taoist Luo looked indifferent at first, but when Wei Dongliu finished explaining in detail, he became extremely surprised. Is there any evidence to support these speculations you mentioned? According to No. 2. The explosion of the monks on the spot and the ruins of the town at the foot of the mountain are traces of space vibration. This is one reason. The monks in the temple have no blood, and there are many corpses in the backyard, which is in line with the way of ghost cultivation that does not require a physical body. This is the second reason. The traces of space vibration, and the ghost cultivation that specializes in space vibration. I think the only explanation is that the cave was pushed. Yes, No. 9. You did a good job. Taoist Luo pondered for a long time, and finally showed a satisfied smile. Sure enough, it was right to send you there. Isn't it? Wei Dongliu sneered in his heart, but said, if we can seize the fragment of the heaven-repairing stone in the Golden Cicada Temple, it will be helpful for our great cause of building a paradise for the human race in the depths of hell. Don't rush about this. Taoist Luo waved his hand and said, the monks in the Golden Cicada Temple are not to be worried about, but the formation is extremely dangerous. We need to take our time with this matter. Number 9, you go back and rest first. Okay. Wei Dongliu nodded and left. As soon as he left, he suddenly realized, where is my reward? Okay, you sent me to gather intelligence, but you don't give me the corresponding reward, right? Sorry, I'm going to take it myself. A Jin, teleport me to the cave of the Golden Cicada Temple. Chapter 908. Treasure Hunt. After being teleported to the cave of Jing'an Temple again, Wei Dongliu was too lazy to pretend to be a monk. Because of the existence of the sky formation, he was discovered the moment he broke in, and no matter what disguise he took, as long as he rushed into the mounting, he would immediately trigger the opponent's counterattack. So, just rush in. Let a Jin calculate the position of the center of the cave. Wei Dongliu quickly flew forward on the sword, came to the edge of the mounting, pressed his right hand, and the great 5 elements divine light was quickly activated, melting golden crushing stones, and soon a large hole was melted on the mountain wall. He was about to rush in, but suddenly he felt his mind was agitated, and the warning of Kunlun mirror came to his mind. Space shock. Be careful. In an instant, Wei Dongliu had disappeared from the spot, and then flashed 5 or 6 steps away. It was because he saw that the situation was not good, so he activated the teleportation ability of Tianji Divine Shuttle. The gap in the mountain wall where he was standing in the air had suddenly twisted into a ball, and the light was refracting randomly, so he couldn't see the scene behind him at all. If he was hit by it, he would probably die on the spot, without even a chance to defend himself. Wei Dongliu was furious, so he mobilized his true energy all over his body, and pushed the innate 5 elements of chaos to the extreme, and immediately blasted towards the cave entrance. Forced explosion. The moment the light was activated, his figure disappeared again, but he activated the Tianyu Divine Shuttle again, and quickly flashed into the cave passage melted by the 5 elements of divine light. Almost at the same time, a group of space distortion appeared again at the place where he was originally standing. It was obvious that the person behind that Jing'an temple was killing him, and wanted to kill him here at all costs. Wei Dongliu sneered in his heart, activating the divine light, teleporting, activating the divine light, and so on, moving towards the inside of the mountain at an astonishing speed, almost never staying in any place for more than half a breath, leaving all the space shocks behind. He is now in the nascent soul stage, and his true essence is almost unmatched. Coupled with the great power of the innate 5 elements divine light against soil and stone, and the teleportation ability of the Tianyu Divine Shuttle, it is as if he sees the mountain as nothing. Suddenly, the front is clear. He was in a cave in the inner side of a huge mountain. Countless rooms were densely painted on the surrounding rock walls, circling around the central stone altar. And floating above the altar was a slender, narrow, smooth stone. A fragment of the Dutian stone. Wei Dongliu was also very excited. After so many years, I can finally get a fragment. Think about it carefully. The Dutian stone was divided into 6 pieces. The 3 pure ones of the righteous path each held a piece, the demon sect held a piece, the Buddhist sect held a piece, and the demon race Donghuang realm had another piece. There was no piece that could be easily obtained. Now I can finally get a piece, and I have initially fulfilled my promise to Arjing. This is a man's promise. Thinking of this, he was about to use the Suming sword to get the fragment. However, the sword suddenly stopped halfway through its flight, as if an invisible barrier was blocking the Suming sword from flying forward. Space rift. Kunlun mirror reminded, the space between you and the fragment of the Dutian stone is cut off. The Suming Sword is a divine sword with unparalleled power, but it cannot pass through a broken space. It's like a broken bridge across a river. Even thousands of troops are helpless. Speaking of the point, Wei Dongliu said angrily, teleporting again to avoid the distortion in the original place. It's space shock and space rift again. Why are there so many space-related methods here? As a rare treasure for suppression and sealing, how could the Butian stone not have space-related magical powers? Kunlun Mirror asked him back, as for cracking it, it's not difficult. All his space-related attack methods are through the formation to borrow the power of the Butian stone. You just need to destroy the formation. While the man and the mirror were discussing, Wei Dongliu was teleporting all over the place to avoid being hit by space shock. In other words, he was bullying the monks of Jing'an Temple for not calculating the advance amount, otherwise he would have been beaten to death dozens or hundreds of times if he had been dragged by Arjing until now. Hearing what Arjing said, Wei Dongliu hurried to look at the formation on the surrounding walls. This formation is extremely complicated, and at first glance, it is impossible to find a starting point. However, Wei Dongliu was a master who is proficient in the way of formations. Even if he does not have the characteristics of hearing 1,000 understandings, it is not difficult to unravel it and crack this formation. It's just that this space vibration is really annoying. It forces me to move around constantly, and I can't take a closer look at this formation. Why is the sword master so confused? Su Mingjian finally couldn't help but said, to crack the formation here, do you need to study it carefully and understand it? Wei Dongliu was startled when he heard it, and then he reacted immediately. Ahem, it's a professional disease. If you want to crack the formation here, why do you need to use my extraordinary brain? He sneered and pinched the dough formula, and the 5 elements of divine light were sent out in all directions, instantly erasing layer after layer of the cave wall engraved with the formation. The formation connecting the inside and the outside was suddenly destroyed, causing the outer sky formation to malfunction immediately. The monks in the temple raised their heads and saw that the originally clear sky suddenly turned into a deep night sky. And there were countless bright stars, like the sparkling water of the Milky Way, completely occupying a large area of the sky. The sky barrier is gone. The little monk Jinxing was doing chores in the courtyard. When he saw the strange phenomenon suddenly appear in the sky, he was also shocked. What happened? I was unaware of such a major change. I'm afraid it is a disaster rather than a blessing. I have to prepare to slip away. In the mounting, Wei Dongliu had broken the formation, and then pinched his fingers to roll up the Suming sword, and then wrapped the fragment of the Butian stone into the sword light and put it back into the bag. He turned around and saw the old monk who presided over the temple running out from the other side of the passage, his eyes wide open, gritting his teeth, and roaring. What a thief! Leave the treasure to me. As soon as his word fell, countless zombies ran out from behind him and pounced fiercely towards Wei Dongliu. These zombies were obviously of high rank, and there were even many earth-walking Rakshasas and flying yakshas. But how could Wei Dongliu be afraid? He didn't care about the fierce attacks of the zombies. He just waved his left hand and used the 5 elements divine light to protect his body, so that these zombies could not invade. With a finger of his right hand, the fanchen seal flew out like lightning and smashed the old monk's head, breaking it into pieces. When the old monk died, the zombies lost control and fell to the ground one after another. Wei Dongliu didn't say anything, but just pinched the sword formula, and immediately a purple-black flying sword shot out, which was the Wangyi Shijing sword that hadn't been used for a long time. Although this sword is also an 11th rank flying sword, it is completely defeated by the Wanxian sword in terms of rank and power. But it has a characteristic that the Wanxian sword can't compare to, which is the soul-devouring characteristic of the sword body. The Wangyi Shijing sword stabbed into the air, and pierced the soul of the old monk who was trying to escape. With a faint scream, the other party's soul was sucked into the sword, and there was no trace left. Humph. The ghost cultivator's petty tricks also want to hide from my scan. Chapter 909. The first fragment is obtained. Wei Dongliu got the fragment and immediately called out, "Ajin, teleport." I can't teleport. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, there is a turbulent flow outside the cave. It is too dangerous to force a long-distance teleport now. You'll leave this mountain first and find the space anchor point according to my instructions. Wei Dongliu was shocked. What is long-distance teleportation? I just want to teleport out of this cave. How can it become long-distance teleportation? He rushed out of the mountain and saw that the clear sky outside had turned into a starry sky. He was also dumbfounded. Could this be? This Jing'an Temple cave has long been outside the celestial sphere of the main world. Kunlun Mirror said in a deep voice, it's just protected by the fragments of the sky-repairing stone, so it looks no different from an ordinary cave, but if a few years pass, the two worlds will be far enough apart, and even long-distance transmission will fail. That's when it will be completely separated from each other. It doesn't take a few more years. Suming Jian also sneered, without the fragments of the sky-repairing stone, how long can this world last? Yes. Kunlun Mirror said seriously, Guanshui, take a closer look. If we fail to successfully repair the sky, the world-destroying disaster in a few hundred years, such a scene, will happen in the world of cultivation. Wei Dongliu looked closely and saw the night sky shining, stars like rain. It really fell like rain. A large number of light spots gradually enlarged on the night sky, and finally turned into a giant ball of blue flames, tearing the sky and falling down into the cave. The moment each crack was formed, it was washed away by a huge amount of water from the sky, forming a series of waterfalls in the cave. However, although it looks like a beautiful waterfall, if you compare the cave to a water prison that imprisons you, and compare these waterfalls to water flowing into the prison, it will immediately make people feel extremely scared. The water of the Tinhe River fell into the sea of clouds. Wherever it passed, the sea of clouds turned into countless tiny ice ridges, rustling and falling down. It can be seen that the water of the Tinhe River is obviously extremely cold, but it maintains the form of water, which is really strange. Compared with the extremely cold water of the Tinhe River, the falling stars are extremely hot. Wei Dongliu saw burning stars passing through the water of the Tinhe River, and the huge water flow was almost immediately broken, and in an instant it all turned into curling white gas. Another star passed over the top of the mountain, and the entire mountain top was cut off by the high heat from the air, and melted soil and rocks flowed down like magma. This cave is over. Wei Dongliu was a little sad, but when he thought about the fact that he lived in the cultivation world, he might also suffer such a bad fate in the future, and he suddenly became hard-hearted again. No matter what, the coming of the world-destroying disaster must be stopped. Even if it means cheating on my wife, betraying the sect, even if I do whatever it takes and am condemned by thousands of people, I will save this world. This is a man's responsibility. Okay. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, we have found an anchor point for the time being, I will guide you there. Well. Wei Dongliu set off. Those monks, do you want to save them? Kunlun Mirror asked again. No. Wei Dongliu said coldly, if a monk knows the secrets behind that golden cicada temple and takes the news out, it is a hidden danger after all, it is better for them all to die here. What about number 2? Suming Jian also interrupted and asked. I'm a spy of the Hell Realm, not a real Hell Realm cultivator. Why should I save him? Wei Dongliu sneered, who told the Hell Realm that I have no progress here? Do you think I don't know? Let him fend for himself. Arriving at the anchor point mentioned by Kunlun Mirror, the world spun again, and Wei Dongliu appeared above the South China Sea. Finally I'm back. He pondered for a moment and asked Kunlun Mirror, should I keep this fragment of the heaven repairing stone on me? Or should I hide it somewhere? If I keep it on me, I'm afraid that someone else will have some magical power to detect this fragment of the heaven repairing stone. But if I hide it somewhere and it's not with me, I still feel uneasy. This fragment of the heaven repairing stone, when it is not activated, is no different from an ordinary stone even if it is scanned directly with divine consciousness. Kunlun Mirror said lightly, who can detect these fragments? Can't you detect it, Mirror? Wei Dongliu said. How many Kunlun Mirrors are there in the world? Kunlun Mirror was immediately angry. Although there is only one Kunlun Mirror in the world, it may not be the only one that can detect the fragments of the Butian stone. Wei Dongliu was still struggling, only to hear Suming Jian laughing. Master Sword Master, you should carry it with you. Otherwise, if you put it somewhere else, you will not feel at ease, right? That's true. Wei Dongliu sighed. It's not that he is suspicious, but before he traveled through time, he had read about the ways in which the protagonists of various novels suddenly got treasures, such as falling off a cliff, getting treasures by being hit on the head by a meteor, getting treasures by picking up stones on the road. What if he hides it in a secret place, and then it is accidentally touched by a protagonist with great luck? Suming Jian is right. This kind of treasure, after all, you still have to carry it with you to feel at ease. There are 5 more pieces to come. Wei Dongliu pondered and said, I have already reported to the Hell Road, and I don't have the means to go to the Golden Cicada Temple. So the destruction of the subsequent cave heaven should not be suspected by Luo Duchang on my head. The 3 fragments of Kunlun, Shushan, and Penglai have been located, but the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox religion are of the same blood. If we rob one, it will disturb the other two, so we must start at the same time and need to plan for the long term. The one on the Hell Road is unknown for the time being, and we need to wait for the opportunity and take it slowly. Now it seems that the most likely place to get the second fragment is the Eastern Empire realm. Thinking of this, Wei Dongliu was a little reluctant. Because when he got the fragment, it meant that Long Long, the trumpet, had completed his historical mission. What little fox, little dragon, little turtle, little bird, little tiger, all left him. But on second thought, his true body is a human after all, so how can he stay in the Eastern Empire realm for a long time? Being obsessed with small animals is not the right way after all. Forget it, let's contact Beiming Fanyan first. A Jin, teleport to Donghuang realm. Point 5. Dongzhou, Jianmu Divine Island. Character identity. Long Long. Mirror Flower Water Moon template overwritten, traveling through time and space. Since Long Long was promoted to welder, the all-out war in Donghuang realm has stopped for a while. The Kanglong clan held a ceremony to worship their ancestors and celebrate Long Long's entry into the Dongyuan realm. The princes of all parties gave face, ceased fighting and sent representatives to congratulate. Now that the celebration is over, although everyone has not resumed the state of war, the constant probing and provocations on the border are still intensifying. Obviously, it is only a matter of time before large-scale wars are reignited. The clan has already explained to Long Long that if a subsequent war comes, he will need to use his Red Dust 100 Worlds map to carry out large-scale troop transfers. Long Long agreed loyally, but secretly an idea came to his mind. If I can think of a way to send the Yang Scroll of the Red Dust 100 Worlds to Beiming Fanyan, and then I can take the little fox and let the spirits send us over as well, wouldn't this problem be solved directly? I also have to try to convince Beiming Fanyan to accept the scroll I send over. Chapter 910. Planning to go to Beiming Fanyan. During this period, Long Long was also keeping an eye on Beiming Fanyan, and kept sending letters. Beiming Fanyan was also arrogant. On the one hand, he was eager to learn about the outside world, but on the other hand, he was like a frightened bird, suspicious, worried that the outside world would follow the information channels to find out the situation of Beiming Fanyan and then catch him in one fell swoop. To be honest, Beiming Fanyan was so cautious, and it was understandable if you think about it carefully. After all, their enemy was the Cunning clan that ruled the entire Donghuang realm. Now the war has temporarily stopped. Long Long wrote in the jade slip of his reply, but there is a conflict of fundamental interests between the two sides, so it is impossible for peace to last long. Northern Province and Central Province will inevitably go to war first. If the war is stalemate, it will be fine, but no matter which side gains the advantage, the Feather Clan will not be able to hold back. Northern Province has the upper hand, and with the Feather Clan's hatred for Kalin, they will definitely take advantage of the situation to take revenge. And if Northern Province is at a disadvantage, the Feather Clan will have to worry about Central Province turning its guns on them, so they cannot let Northern Province lose. Only when the war is stalemate, the Feather Clan will find it difficult to unify internal voices and will be prone to wait and see. Very good. Beiming Fanyan replied, it is natural for the princes to be deceitful and deceitful. The Feather Clan of Southern Province has always been unruly and only admires the absolutely strong. The Cunning clan came to power through political struggles rather than strength, so naturally there is no way they can win over Southern Province. What is the attitude of Eastern Province? Currently both camps are trying to win over the Kanglong clan. Long Long continued to explain, there are many different voices within the Kanglong clan, and it seems that the wait-and-see faction has the upper hand at present. The Kanglong clan has always been like this, only caring about small profits and not the overall situation. The other side replied, if the Kanglong clan was willing to come to the defense of our clan when it was in danger in the past, they would not have to hide in the territory of Dongzhou and carefully curry favor with the princes now. Oh? Long Long immediately asked curiously, after Emperor Yinglong fell into the human world, did the Kanglong clan add insult to injury? That's not the case. The other side said, but my clan once asked them for help, and the Kanglong clan agreed to come to the defense of the country, but hesitated and regretted it at the last minute, and dragged their feet, so that after the Cunning clan came to power, they almost had a fight with Dongzhou. Later, the Black Turtle clan interceded for them, and the Yu clan provoked on the border, which made the Cunning clan afraid to act rashly and let the Kanglong escape. I see. Long Long thought to himself, it is a bit like the Eastern during the Three Kingdoms period. Wei wanted to dominate the world, she wanted to resist the strong Wei, and only Dongguo was wavering in a corner of Jiangnan. The main reason was that the people were not united internally, and the highest decision makers could not control the situation. The situation on the Kanglong clan side was actually simpler. The clan leader Qin Biaoan lacked strategic vision, did not know which camp would win, and did not dare to make rash decisions and take the blame afterwards, so he hoped that the Kanglong ancestor would make the decision. On the Kanglong ancestor's side, although Longlong could not draw a conclusion, it seemed that it should be some kind of typical speculator's mentality. See which side will win in the end, and I will stand on that side in the end. Beiming Fanyan's evaluation was really appropriate. That's true. Longlong said casually, it's the daughter of Emperor Yinglong, Longhu. She has a noble bloodline, so many people have proposed marriage. Isn't the Kanglong clan thinking of waiting for a price to see which side can offer a higher price? Let's not talk about it for now. The clan has sent someone to find me again. I'll go and see what's going on. After throwing the jade slip into the teleportation array and delivering it to Beiming Fanyan, Longlong found an excuse to slip away. He knew that since Beiming Fanyan admired Emperor Yinglong so much, he would definitely admire his daughter. But until now, the other party has never asked about Longhu. Obviously, there is only one explanation. Xiao never mentioned the existence of Longhu to the other party. As for why, it is naturally to blame Beiming Fanyan for treating Xiao as an ATM and not having the intention to communicate with her properly. If I hadn't been willing to spend my blood to gain his trust, I wouldn't have been able to quickly reach the trust level I have now at Beiming Fanyan. Of course, since this relationship wasn't established for long, the other party's trust must be quite limited. If I had directly told him about the dragon fox, Beiming Fanyan might have been suspicious. Therefore, I pretended to say something casually, and then immediately left him alone. No matter how suspicious the other party was, in the absence of more external information, driven by anxiety and worry, he would naturally have no choice but to trust me, so not only humans are a race that won't cry until they see the coughing, but also that dragons. After stopping contact with Beiming Fanyan, Longlong went to find that dragon fox to test it out. The dragon fox was lying on the bed in the bedroom at this time, playing with two small puppets. The puppet on the left had a pair of small horns on its head, which seemed to be made of the cut chopstick heads. The puppet on the right had a big tail attached to its butt, which was obviously made of the tail hair of a young girl. Fox. The puppet on the left said, the tribe has been really busy lately. I have no choice. It's not that I didn't mean to not play with you. Yes, yes, yes. The puppet on the right snorted angrily, Brother Long is a busy man. There are so many important things to deal with in the tribe every day. How can he have time to take care of a pitiful little fox? I'm sorry, Fox. The puppet on the left knelt down and said, I ignored you. I clearly promised my mother. I'm such a jerk. I'm a piece of shit. The puppet on the right was so angry that he turned around and slapped the puppet on the left in the face with his big tail. But probably because it was not tied tightly, the tail fell off after a few slaps. The dragon fox quickly picked up the tail with a distressed look, and then manipulated the puppet to say, You. Look, I was so angry that my tail fell off. I'm sorry, Fox, I was wrong. Will saying sorry be useful? Then I'll give you my horn as compensation, okay? Who wants your stinky feet? It's not the stinky feet, it's the cute little horns on your head whose tail fell off. Longlong pushed the door in from outside. Dragon Fox quickly rolled over on the bed, pressing the two puppets under him, and said in surprise, Longlong. Why are you here? Well, don't mention it. Longlong said depressedly, ever since I entered the Dongyuan realm, the tribe has asked me to receive guests from all over the place and tribes every day, making it like a military display. Is there any tea to drink? Yes, yes. Dragon Fox stood up, with a sweep of the tail hidden behind him. He swept the two puppets into the quilt. What kind of tea do you want to drink? Whatever. Seeing Dragon Fox going to make tea, Longlong suddenly said out of the blue, Fox, if you want you to go to Beiming Fanyan with me, are you willing? Dragon Fox was slightly startled and replied, Of course, but wasn't this agreed long ago? But Longlong continued to ask tentatively, if you want to embark on the journey to Beiming Fanyan, then everything you have in the Kanglong tribe, including all kinds of delicious food, fun things, and beds to sleep in, will all be gone. Long was a little hesitant after hearing this, but soon he smiled and said, It doesn't matter if I don't have you, at least I still have you, right? Longlong suddenly fell silent. Actually, I won't stay by your side forever. But he didn't say this in the end, just smiled and nodded and said, "Yeah." Chapter 911 Showdown. In fact, Long Long was not worried about the many dangers on the way to becoming Fanyan. What he was most worried about was that Long would be corrupted by the comfortable treatment of the Kanglong clan and would not want to return to the kind of displaced life of escape. If that happened, what would he do? If he took the fragment of the booty and stone, the little fox would die immediately due to blood conflict. But if he didn't take the fragment of the booty and stone, to solve her hidden dangers, he could only run to becoming Fanyan. Now that the fox didn't want to go, what could he do? He could only subdue her, carry her on his shoulders, and run away without saying a word. Fortunately, the little fox was not an animal that was greedy for pleasure. Although she knew that going to becoming Fanyan meant defecting from the Kanglong clan, she still agreed without hesitation. Wouldn't it make me, who was going to abandon her in the end, seem like an out-and-out scumbag? Thinking of this, Long Long felt a strong and indescribable guilt. But thinking of the tragic scenes of the earth-shattering, falling stars, and surging floods that he had seen in the cave of Jian Temple, and thinking of the millions of people in Shinzhou, Long Long suddenly hardened his heart and suppressed all his guilt and self-blame. Guanzu, don't really think of yourself as a demon. You were a genuine human, but you came to the East Empire realm disguised as a demon because as Butian. You could have just ignored the little fox's life and death, took the fragment of booty and stone and left, but not only did you not do so, but you escorted her to becoming Fanyan to reunite with her relatives, and even helped her eliminate the hidden danger of blood conflict. It's already done the best. As for staying with her forever, if so, why can't you stay with sisters Yu, Sister Anne, Miss Shi and Witch Jing forever? So if you wear a mask for a long time, it's easy to have the illusion that the mask is my face. If you really think of yourself as a dragon, you're stupid, right? Long Long quickly defended himself in his mind and soon felt at ease. Tell me, Su Mingjian asked Kumlin Jin quietly, is there a possibility that he is not afraid that they will fight after knowing the truth, or work together to hunt him down to the ends of the earth, but that he really can't be partial to one girl and simply say goodbye to each girl and leave? If you want to ask if it is possible, I think there is certainly a possibility. Kumlin Jin said slowly, but judging from his moral bottom line, it is unlikely. Does the Lord Swordmaster have a moral bottom line? Su Mingjian fell into deep thought. Kumlin Jin also thought about it. Think about it carefully. Apart from taking advantage of both sects, being irresponsible to girls by using sweet words to deceive their hearts, flattering his master and then despising him as an old thief, and cheating and stealing from people who are not relatives or friends, he doesn't seem to have done anything really harmful to the world. You're right. Su Mingjian sighed and said, so the Lord Swordmaster still has a moral bottom line, but it may be a little lower than that of ordinary people. I should retract my doubts just now. After half a month, Long Long returned to the secret room and opened the teleportation array. He saw 4 or 5 jade slips lying in it. It felt like turning on a mobile phone and seeing a lot of missed calls. It seems that becoming Fanyan is really anxious. Long Long calmly read the comprehensive message sent by the other side, and then began to write his own jade slip. In the jade slip, he described the life story of Dragon Fox in detail. His father was trapped in the human world, and the Jialong clan could not protect themselves. His mother was opposed because of his grandmother's affairs, so she had to flee to Nanzhou to avoid disaster. In the end, she was seriously injured and sealed the blood of Dragon Fox before she died, and let her sleep until now. When he wrote this, Long Long himself was a little emotional, his eyes were wet, thinking that the little fox was too miserable. Fortunately, he met a good man like me who rescued her from her mother's corpse in the underground cave, otherwise she would have to suffer so much. Becoming Fanyan was speechless for a long time, and replied after a long while, Your Majesty has never let down the Jialong clan, it is the Jialong clan that let down your Majesty. Come on, if it weren't for Yin Long abandoning his wife and daughter and leading the army to attack the human world without authorization, and the whole army was annihilated, how could the Jialong clan fall to the point where it is today? Long Long thought of the classic old routine in the TV series, that is, the male protagonist abandoned his girlfriend and devoted himself to starting a business, and then when the business failed, he felt that he could not bring a better life to his girlfriend, so he resolutely proposed to break up. Yes, it was similar to Yin Long, the idiot who abandoned his wife and daughter. Alas! He wrote in the jade slip, I wish I was born in the era of your Majesty. Even if I risk my life, I will escort the Supreme Majesty back from the human world. What a pity. Alas! Hateful. The other party was also shocked by Long Long's impassioned ambition. Perhaps because he had never seen such a routine, he actually comforted him. Forget it, you don't have to worry about it. This is all in the past. Now that my clan has fallen into decline, the future still depends on you, the new generation. Long Long felt something was wrong when he read it. Wait a minute, did I hint that there was a blood conflict in the Dragon Fox? Since you respect Yin Long so much, why don't you propose to solve her daughter's blood problem? Thinking of this, Long Long asked directly in the Jade Slip. By the way, aren't we, the Jialong clan, good at the art of bloodliner? Is there any way to completely solve His Highness's problem? After the Jade Slip was sent, there was immediate silence from the other side. Almost half a day passed before Beiming Fanyan replied. Hasn't the blood conflict in your highness been sealed? Long Long was speechless and could only retort. Seal is seal, and relying on external objects cannot cure the root cause. If the seal is lost in the future, your highness will die on the spot. It is better to solve the problem once and for all. After waiting for a while, the other party replied. We need to discuss it. No need to discuss it. Long Long hurriedly expressed that he had no ill intentions. If you pass the secrets of the formation to me, and I learn it, won't I solve the problem directly for your highness? No. The other party replied, this is not a problem of the formation, your highness's problem must be solved inside Beiming Fanyan, do you understand? Long Long pondered for a while and replied, okay, then I'll wait for your news. After closing the teleportation array again, Long Long reviews the many communication records with Beiming Fanyan in the past, and still felt a little unsure. After all, this time, they were going to take Dragon Fox to Beiming Fanyan, which was equivalent to asking the other party to open the entrance for the two of them to enter, which was unprecedented for Beiming Fanyan. They could only hope that Dragon Fox's title of Daughter of His Highness Yin Long was important enough to Beiming Fanyan. Chapter 912 The Beauty of Turtle. Long Long was actually very unsure whether Beiming Fanyan would agree to it. After all, he didn't know what was going on over there. The reason why he was so anxious was because he could vaguely sense what the tribe meant. The day for him to get married and bred was not far away. The demon race had a long lifespan, so they shouldn't be so anxious, but they couldn't stand Long Long's rapid promotion. It only took a few years for him to go from a little demon to a transformed form, and then to a cave element. If he ascended to the realm of an ancestor in a few more years, the tribe would really be able to check and balance him. He could marry whoever he wanted, and if he didn't want to get married, he would stay single. Even if he didn't give the tribe a trace of incense to reproduce, the tribe couldn't do anything about him. Therefore, recently, the tribe leader Qin Bian had also asked Long Long to come over for tea, chat, and talk. He would say that my Qin Yi was already old, and it was time to find a good male dragon to entrust his life to. He would say that the dragon nest next door had been built, which was most suitable for hatching eggs, and it shouldn't be left idle there for too long, as it was unlucky for the new nest to become an old nest. Qin Yi was also called by his father to communicate with Long Long. At first, he blushed and didn't even dare to raise his head. Later, he got used to it after many times. He didn't like to chat much, but just blinked his big eyes at Long Long. This little dragon girl has a good appearance. Although she can't compare with the charm and romance of the fox girl, she is also pretty and generous. But Long Long was not annoyed by this, but the clan asked him to marry Qin Yi first and then Long Yu. Qin Yi belongs to the Kang Long clan, and the position of the clan leader will definitely be handed over to the descendants of Long Long and Qin Yi. The race must also be Kang Long. This is the top priority of the Kang Long clan. As for the marriage of Long Long and Long Yu, it is just to borrow the legal system of Long Yu to more powerfully declare that the dragon clan in the world is one family. Although his descendants are of noble blood, they must not be allowed to threaten the power and status of Qin Yi's descendants. Therefore, it is the most foolproof for the Kang Long clan to marry Qin Yi first, have a child, and then let Long Long marry Long Yu. But when you do this, have you ever thought about how the little fox feels? She was the first one to come. There are even strict regulations on the order of marriage, which shows that after marriage, there must be all kinds of urging for breeding and close surveillance. It will be even more difficult to escape to Beiming Fanyan at the time. I still have to leave before the marriage. But in this way, it seems a bit sorry for Qin Yi. Looking at the little dragon mother who stared at him with clear eyes, Long Long felt a little guilty. But then I thought, I'm not a demon, but a human. There is a difference between humans and demons. I have been sorry for so many little demons, and it doesn't matter if there are only one or two. Thinking of this, the worries in my heart were relieved a lot. Qin Bian talked to him for a while, and then signaled Qin Yi to send his future husband off. Brother Long, let's go. Qin Yi said with a smile. After leaving the clan leader's residence, Long Long chatted with Qin Yi. Why haven't you seen Qin Zhao recently? He was brought by the ancestor, and asked him to seize the time to practice. Qin Yi laughed. As for why, it is also easy to guess. Long Long is from the blood of Yinlong, so his rank is improved so quickly. Qin Zhao was from the blood of Kanglong, so why is his cultivation so slow? Doesn't it mean that the blood of Kanglong Patriarch is not as good as that of Emperor Yinlong? Although if you ask this question to the clan, 9 out of 10 will say yes, not as good as Emperor Yinlong, but Kanglong Patriarch is a little uncomfortable, so naturally he wants to hope his grandson will become a dragon. Long Long is much more indifferent to Qin Zhao's suffering. What does it have to do with me if you don't practice well? Brother Long has a lot of things to do recently. Qin Yi said with a smile, but take care of your body first. If you are too tired, I will talk to my father and ancestor. Thank you for your concern, Yi. After all, the other party cares about him, so Long Long's tone became affectionate. What are you thanking me for? Qin Yi quickly got into the role and said shyly, with the relationship between you and me now, why should I thank you? What is the relationship between you and me? Long Long immediately pretended to be stupid and asked. That's right. Qin Yi didn't have the nerve to do that, and stamped his feet anxiously. I won't pay attention to you. After teasing Xiaolongying for a while, Long Long felt a little guilty for some reason, and always felt that he was doing bad things behind Fox's back. Alas, although he was forced to curry favor with her, his moral bottom line was there, and he still felt a little guilty about playing two-time in. After all, he felt a little guilty. After sending Qin Yi away, out of a compensatory mentality, Long Long went to find Long Hu again. When he came to Long Hu's room, he saw Gilinga and the little fox laughing. When did this little turtle come? Why, you don't welcome me. Seeing Long Long standing there in a daze, Gilinga joked with him, yes, Long Long, you're an elder now, you should look down on me, a small black tortoise in the transformation realm. No way. Long Hu immediately spoke up to defend him. Long Long is just too busy recently and a little distracted. Linga, you can't say such mean words. What do you mean by look down on you? It's as if you're also one of my Long Long's marriage candidates, don't take advantage of him verbally. Gilinga didn't know whether she saw the hidden meaning of Dragon Fox, but just said with a smile. However, this time, thanks to you, Long Long, the border war in our Bizhou has been eased, and we can also breathe a sigh of relief. That's because your military ability is too bad, Long Long secretly complained in his heart, but said. The pressure on Shizhou must be quite large, otherwise they wouldn't cooperate so much to stop the war because of our Dragon Festival. Next, what are your plans for Bizhou? No plans. Gilinga looked worried and sighed. If Dongzhou and Nanzhou don't join the war, with the strength of our state, we're definitely not the opponent of the Cunning and White Tiger coalition. That's right. Long Long also secretly calculated in his heart. If Bizhou can't get support from Dongzhou, maybe it will eventually beg for peace from the Cunning clan. In this way, first of all, there will be no war in Bizhou, and when he defected to the Dragon clan and went to Beiming Fanyan, he would be very likely to be intercepted by the Black Turtle clan. Secondly, the Cunning clan is also quite wary of the Beiming Fanyan, and may ask Bizhou to strengthen the blockade of the North Sea. In other words, Bizhou still needs to go towards Fengzhou, and it has to fight hard, and it is best not to spare any effort. If Bizhou was forced to succumb to the power of Kalin, it will also be disadvantageous to our Dragon clan. Long Long thought and said, I will advise the clan leader and the ancestors on this matter. Gilinga was slightly startled, and then immediately smiled, with a strong feeling of being moved. With her relationship with Long Long, she didn't expect him to speak for the Black Turtle clan, but just flattered him a few words, but she didn't expect Long Long to be willing to speak. Could it be that he is attracted by my beauty? Thinking of this, Gilinga seemed to have an electric current flowing through her body, and she immediately became restless. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 913. Contact address. To be honest, Gilinga originally had no feelings for Long Long. However, among the demon princes, bloodline rank and political needs are often the only considerations for marriage, and feelings are naturally not within the scope of consideration. From the perspective of our future husband, Gilinga still appreciates Long Long. But soon, Xiao Yi was surprised to find that Long Long seemed to have no interest in her at all. You are not interested in me, so I have to be interested in you. From then on, Xiao Yi began to pay attention to Long Long secretly. Then the more he paid attention, the more he found that he really didn't seem to be worthy of this male dragon. His bloodline rank is extremely noble, his cultivation is advancing so fast, his wisdom and courage are unparalleled. Not only has he gained the trust of the clan leaders at a young age, he can even confront the princess of the vermilion bird head on outside, and arm wrestle with the white tiger god general without losing. It doesn't seem strange that he looks down on himself. From then on, Gilinga gradually gave up her thoughts on Long Long. Of course, she didn't completely give up. She could still daydream occasionally, but she wouldn't take it seriously. Now that Long Long suddenly spoke for the Black Turtle clan, Gilinga immediately felt a dreamlike pleasure. He couldn't really be attracted by my little turtle's beauty, could he? By the way, if this Demon King Long Long really came to the Black Turtle clan to ask for marriage, should I reluctantly agree, or should I try to refuse but still accept? Agreeing reluctantly would seem a bit futile, or should I try to refuse but still accept, and first express my shyness, and then the ancestor would severely reprimand me, and as the ancestor of the Black Tortoise clan, he would order me to marry Long Long. I could only shyly and weakly agree to show my reserve. After all, isn't the combination of the Dragon clan and the Black Tortoise a secret match to the Black Tortoise combination of the past? After we get married, my husband and I will practice the Beiming Chuan magic together. Our skills will improve greatly through dual cultivation. Naturally, our status in the Chuan clan will also rise step by step. If we can give birth to a child, wow! If they're of the Dragon clan, they will be named Long, and if they're of the Black Tortoise clan, they will be named Yi. Gilinga was still thinking about the names of her children when she heard Long Long say, "Gilinga, I have something to say to Longu, do you think I'm right?" Oh. Gilinga subconsciously walked out and closed the door before she reacted. No. We must first let the clan know Long Long's attitude. She hurried to inform the clan. In the room, Long Long said to Longu, "The clan leader talked to me again today. Judging from the clan's intention, the wedding day is not far away." Oh. Longu nodded calmly, but the big tail that was clamped between her legs had already drooped down along the edge of the bed, indicating that she was actually very depressed, not as calm as she appeared on the surface. At present, it seems that we can only leave Dongzhou as soon as possible before the wedding is settled. Long Long continued. Long was silent for a moment and asked, "If that happens, will it be harmful to Sister Qingyi's reputation?" "If the marriage is settled and the groom suddenly runs away, it will be harmful to her reputation." Long Long replied, "Before the marriage is settled, we should leave first, and there will be a lot of room for maneuver. I will listen to you." Long nodded and said meekly, "In the near future, you must not show any frustration to the outside world, in case someone takes the opportunity to make trouble." Long Long reminded her, "But if the clan leader or the ancestor comes to you to test you, you must pretend to be calm, and inadvertently show a little frustration to let the other party notice. If you remain indifferent throughout the whole process, it is hard to guarantee that you will not be suspicious." Long quickly understood what he meant. "No problem. Yes, I will come to you again when the follow-up plan is ready to start." Long Long also knew that the fox girl was best at illusion and performance, so he was not worried that Long would reveal the secret. After leaving Longu's room, he found another secret room, laid the teleportation array on the ground, and started it. The most critical thing now is the attitude of Beiming Fanyan. If Beiming Fanyan does not agree to the two of them come in, then if they flee Dongzhou and head north as originally planned, they can only wander in the North Sea until they are hunted down and captured by the Black Turtle clan. That is undoubtedly the worst situation. If they cannot go north, they can only go west. The Black Turtle clan currently needs the help of the Blue Dragon clan, so if the Dragon clan offers a bounty for him, Bizhou will definitely cooperate with them. But this may not be the case for Shizhou. First, Long Hu was from the Sky Fox clan of Shizhou. With the relationship between my aunt Hu Shaojin, the Sky Fox clan should protect the two of them. Secondly, with the vision and courage of the White Tiger God, he should not refuse me to go to Shizhou, he will definitely see my value. Finally, Shizhou was the farthest from Dongzhou and is the least likely to be subject to various political interferences from Dongzhou. Thinking of this, Long Long suddenly remembered what Qingzhu said to him when he was on a diplomatic mission to Dongzhou last time. "Although we are enemies now, we may not be enemies in the future. I think your relationship with the Dragon clan does not seem to be that close. I can only say that you are worthy of being the White Tiger God. I don't know from what little clues you have noticed the gap between me and the Blue Dragon clan. In this case, seeking shelter in Shizhou was also a solution. Long Long pondered for a long time, and saw that the teleportation array finally completed its operation, and a jade slip fell out of it. He quickly picked up the jade slip, immersed his consciousness in it, and saw a line of words written on it. On the evening of August 16, at 11 o'clock p.m., North Cape Cod Day, only 2 people come. Long Long was stunned at first, and then immediately ecstatic. Beiming Fanning agreed, and gave the time and place of the meeting. He quickly put away the teleportation array, hurriedly left the secret room, and ran to the clan's library to find that geographical map for inquiry. On the map, the north coast of Bizao was thousands of miles long, and the trend is like jagged teeth, which is caused by the erosion of the North Sea day after day and year after year. Among them, the protruding parts of Bizao are capes and islands, and the protruding parts of the North Sea are ditches and bays. There are almost hundreds of place names, all of which are marked. Long Long carefully searched from beginning to end, but did not find the name of North Cape Cod Bay. No way. Could it be that Beiming Fanning is deliberately making fun of me? After a little thought, Long Long suddenly realized that it might be the difference between the ancient and modern place names. Just like the last time Luoyan and Shilili went to find that prison dragon well, the well at Wonksai Immortal was talking about was an ancient well, and now that the capital has moved, it is naturally impossible to find a modern well. So Long Long went to look for the ancient geographical map. He was trying to reach out and take down an ancient book from a high place, when he suddenly heard Shio's voice behind him. What are you looking for that ancient book for? Long Long shuddered suddenly, turned around and smiled. Master. Chapter 914 I can't believe it, Master. Long Long smiled harmlessly, but in his heart he was quickly thinking whether he should confront this master. Why are you looking for that ancient geographical map? Shio asked again. I'm helping Long Yu find a way to solve her bloodline problem. Long Long thought carefully and answered. Shio fell silent. How could she not know that to solve the problem of bloodline conflict, she could only go to the Jialong clan of Beiming Fanyan? Thinking of the recent communication with Beiming Fanyan, which was all done by this disciple, Shio immediately guessed the answer and said slowly, borrowing books from here is too conspicuous, just follow me. Taking Long Long to a secret room nearby, Shio confirmed that there was no one around, and then patiently persuaded Long Long, don't rush. The Jialong clan has been persecuted too much in modern times, and Beiming Fanyan is already a frightened bird, and every tree and grass is an enemy. The Bizao black turtle has searched the North Sea countless times in the past, but still couldn't find any trace of Beiming Fanyan. It can be seen that the secrecy there is so high. Even if you read all the ancient books, how can you gain anything? Otherwise, doesn't it mean that the Black Turtle clan's intelligence capabilities are not as good as yours in the ancient book library? Master is right. Long Long said politely, but this time, it was Beiming Fanyan who contacted me. Yes, even if Beiming Fanyan contacts you, he may not tell you the address. Shio was about to warn this disciple not to be too ambitious, but she was suddenly stunned in the middle of her words. What? Beiming Fanyan contacted you on his own initiative? No. She asked hesitantly, why did they contact you? Ask you to give me supplies again? What they mean is that they want me to take the Dragon Fox to the North Cape Cod Bay to see the specific situation. Long Long handed over the jade slip given by Beiming Fanyan. Shio took the jade slip with an unbelievable look, read it over and over again, and asked, are you sure this is from Beiming Fanyan? It was sent by the teleportation array. Long Long said. Is it mixed up with the other jade slips in the storage bag? Shio asked with a slightly frown. It shouldn't be. Long Long laughed. Well, what is the place of North Cape Cod Bay? I didn't know it before. How could I write these things in my own jade slip? Maybe the other side made a mistake. Shio still couldn't believe it, and said thoughtfully, is it possible that this jade slip was not sent by Beiming Fanyan? They are so cautious that they don't even want to send a single extra word. Master, this is normal. It's like a goddess who doesn't want to send you a single word, but may turn around and chat with a tall, rich and handsome man. People are different after all. Long Long resisted the desire to complain in his heart and replied, it's not impossible. But in that case, it proves that this teleportation array is no longer safe. We should go to North Cape Cod Bay to see what happened inside Beiming Fanyan. Why can someone bypass them and send us a letter through this channel? Someone bypassed Beiming Fanyan. Shio had a headache. She also realized that this statement was not convincing at all. It was purely because she was unwilling to accept the facts and made random guesses. North Cape Cod Bay. Shio pondered, isn't this a place name in Bizao? It may be an ancient place name. Long Long reminded her. After all, Beiming Fanyan is isolated from the world, and the names of various places are different from now. Isn't it normal? Yes. Xiao said, I have to ask a senior. Do I need to go with you? Long Long asked. No. Xiao waved her hand, it's not convenient for you to leave the clan now. I can go there alone and tell you when I come back. She acted decisively and soon flew away from the East State, went around the North State and arrived at the West State to visit an old friend. Why are you here? Li asked in surprise. To the human world. Xiao said concisely. Going to the human world again? Li showed a speechless expression. How can I have the time to take you to the human world now? Sister Long, Ao Shizao and your dog Zhao have not yet ceased fighting, okay? We're enemies now. You, a dragon cultivator, run to Ao Shizao territory all day long. If someone sees you, they will come to me to ask for an explanation. This time it's about your little niece. Xiao directly took out a trump card. Dragon Fox. Li immediately became nervous and asked seriously, how is she? She hasn't been bullied in the Dragon Clan, right? How is that possible? Xiao shook her head and continued, she is treated well in the Dragon Clan, mainly Long Long. I don't know how my disciple got in touch with Beiming Fanyan and wants to solve her blood conflict problem once and for all. Beiming Fanyan, Li was slightly startled and asked suspiciously, are you sure? Don't let someone pretend to be him. Hasn't Beiming Fanyan been autistic for a long time? It must be confirmed. Xiao watched repeatedly, are you going to take me to the human world? Take me, take me, take me. Southern Xinjiang, the gate of the natural moat. The Sun True Darkness sword was inserted into the ground, and the surrounding Sun True fire was burning fiercely, releasing almost endless light and heat, so that there was no grass growing in the surrounding area of 100 miles, and only sand and soil burned into glass. Two figures suddenly appeared from the gate. If any human cultivator were here, they would be horrified to see this scene. Because this means that the demon race has a way to lead through the natural chasm and enter the world of cultivation, while the human race has no way to pass through the true fire of the sun. How can this not make the human race worry? I don't know how many times this method can be used. Billy took the lead, holding a pendant in his hand, and said to Shiro behind him, the aura on this pendant is already very weak. Don't you have any other relics in your clan? Shiro asked. That person had already obtained the Chinsuman sword, but eventually returned empty-handed and was regarded as a sinner by the demon race of the entire Donghuang realm. How can there be relics preserved? Billy shook his head with a sad expression. It is this pendant, and it is also the only thing that my sister cherishes and that person left for her. If this pendant fails, the heroic spirit of the Sun Sword Master will only have a little regret, and he may not listen to your relative's plea. Xiao said. In that case, we can only follow the example of the former Emperor Yinglong and try to tear open the space gate. Billy sighed and said, after all, we are not helpless. The two of them moved forward cautiously for a long time, and finally left the coverage of the sun's true fire and flew towards the Donghuangdao headquarters on Yulong Mountain in southern Xinjiang. Chapter 915. Long Long, Loyal and Righteous. Southern Xinjiang, the Donghuangdao station. Although the news has not spread to the outside, most of the Donghuangdao monks know that the sect has added a sect guardian immortal. It is said that this immortal was deeply invaded by the inner demon in his early years, so he spent most of his time sitting cross-legged in meditation to suppress the inner demon. Even when he is awake, he is crazy for almost half of the time, and only awake for the other half of the time, but everyone hopes that he is still crazy, because the last time he was awake, he was furious for some reason and almost destroyed half of the sect with his divine power. According to people familiar with the matter, it seems that a very important treasure was lost. But what kind of daring thief dared to steal the treasure of the sect guardian immortal? Everyone is more inclined to believe that this immortal accidentally lost his treasure when he was crazy, and only got angry when he woke up. Therefore, there is silence on Yulong Mountain now. Everyone tacitly stopped flying the sword and walked up and down the mountain, lest the enraged sect guarding immortal see them flying through the air as soon as they left the cave, and then catch and kill them. Xiao brought Li to the sect guarding immortal's cave, and saw him sitting cross-legged in meditation, his eyes closed, his face angry. Your Majesty, Xiao asked. Speak, Fenlong said coldly. Ever since all the magic weapons in the storage back disappeared, the immortal's state of mind has been very unstable, occasionally furious, often cold, intimidating, and no one dared to approach him. Your Majesty, I have something to ask you. Xiao said in a low voice, do you know North Cape Cod Day? Huh. The coldness on Fenglong's face disappeared, and he frowned and asked, "Where did you hear this place name?" "It's my apprentice Long Long." Xiao hesitated for a moment, and said, "He has contacted someone who is suspected to be Beiming Fanyan. The one who knows this place name must be from Beiming Fanyan." Fenglong was silent for a long time, and replied, "This place is not on the coast of Bizhou, but at the bottom of a piece of floating ice in the North Sea." "Floating ice?" Xiao asked in surprise. "North of the North Sea, the climate is extremely cold, and the floating ice is as endless as a wilderness." Fenglong seemed to be immersed in some kind of reminiscence, and said slowly, "If the floating ice extends for too long, it will be cracked in the middle by the tide and exposed to the water surface. The fish in the sea take the opportunity to float up and breathe spiritual energy. But the north wind is fierce, and it will freeze the cracks in an instant, and the aquatic monsters that don't have time to escape will all die. But there is a place with floating ice, which is deep and thick, like the capes on both sides of the bay, with wings protecting the center, and is not invaded by cold winds. The seawater inside does not freeze all year round, and it is where a large number of fish monsters reside. That's the North Cape Cod Bay. This name is only circulated among the Jialong clan. Since outsiders do not live in the North Sea, they have no way of knowing it, so the other party must be the Dragon clan of the Beiming Fanyan." Xiao thought silently for a long time, and asked, "Is the North Cape Cod Bay the entrance to the Beiming Fanyan?" "The entrance to the secret realm of Beiming Fanyan has never been fixed." Fenglong laughed unabashedly, "But it is definitely not in the North Cape Cod Bay. Otherwise, what if this person colluded with the foreign enemy and carefully explored the North Cape Cod Bay and found the entrance? So the entrance will not be there, but there are spies there who can fully confirm the situation of the visitor." "That's right." Xiao thought to herself, "It should be just a place for connection, not an entrance. In any case, it will eventually be able to connect with Beiming Fanyan, and this North Cape Cod Bay must go, but, according to His Majesty Fenglong, since the other party chose the North Cape Cod Bay to connect, it must have been under surveillance. In other words, Long Long and Long Yu must go there. But now Long Long is a hot new star in the Kanglong clan. The clan is busy breeding him, so how can they allow him to go out casually? If he had suddenly defected during the war earlier, the Dragon clan might not have had time to care, but now it is not so easy." Thinking of this, Xiao and Fenglong said goodbye. Leaving the sect's residence, Li finally couldn't help asking, "Hey, you don't really want them to go to Beihai alone, do you?" "What else?" Xiao asked coldly. "Beiming Fanyan is willing to contact us without seeing the two of them. Why do you have to contact Beiming Fanyan?" Li also got angry and said excitedly, "Although they are living under someone else's roof, they are also living well in the Kanglong clan. Why do you have to risk angering the clan and run all the way to Beihai?" "The blood conflict problem in that dragon fox," Xiao reminded her. Li was speechless for a moment, and after a while he said, "Isn't it sealed? And with Long Long's current status in the Dragon clan, can't he find any solution? No one has done more in-depth research on the bloodline of the Demon clan than the Jialong clan did," Xiao explained calmly. "It's true that they can continue to enjoy themselves in the Kanglong clan, but if they miss the opportunity to contact Beiming Fanyan this time, there may not be a next time." And what? "And I always have a feeling," Xiao sighed, "the reason why Long Long is so eager to find Beiming Fanyan is to fulfill the promise he made to your sister. If he continues to stay in the Kanglong clan, as a respected elder of the Dragon clan, with power and status at his fingertips, and beautiful women waiting for him, he is afraid that his will be gradually corrupted." Li was silent for a long time after hearing this, and also sighed and said, "That should be the case. Otherwise, why did he start contacting Beiming Fanyan as soon as he entered the Dongyuan realm? This kid is really a man of love and righteousness." The two sighed for a while, and finally decided to help Long Long and Long Yu go to Beiming Fanyan. Li did it for her sister and niece, and Xiao did it for her apprentice and the Jialong clan. However, if they hadn't felt Long Long's determination to burn his boats, they would naturally not easily decide to take risks. It's just that how to smuggle that two out of Dongzhou and how to go to Bizhou later, all require detailed planning. On Jianmu, Long Long talked with Long Yu for a while today, thinking that his chief master said he was going out to ask a senior, but he didn't know who he was going to ask. Could it be the kind old man who gave me the treasure last time? "Watch the water," Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, "going to Beiming Fanyan, isn't it too hasty? If a few years pass, there'll definitely be war again in the Donghuan realm. And you were already in the Dongyuan realm, so it will be more certain for you to escape, right?" "Hilly." Long Long sneered and asked back, in a few years, you'll have many children and grandchildren, and then you will abandon your wives and concubines and run away with the fox, right? Jin, how can you come up with such a ridiculous idea? Come on, mirror. Although it sounds righteous, why do I always have a strange feeling? Chapter 916 Escape Plan starts. There is still about a month until August 16. In other words, if you want to leave the Kanglong clan, there is not much time left. The so-called North Cape Cod Bay is a place in the iceberg at the North Sea. Xiao and Long Long, who returned to Dongzhou, said, I'm not familiar with the exact location, so I have to reserve some time for you to search for the place in the North Sea. You? Long Long was surprised. Well, your master can't accompany you into the North Sea. Xiao sighed, otherwise, if you are discovered by Beiming Fanyan, he may no longer pay attention to you. Beiming Fanyan will not accept you, and the Dragon Clan has already rebelled. At the time, there will be no way to go up to heaven and no way to wend to the earth. How can I leave the Dongzhou Dragon Clan? Long Long thought and asked, if possible, it's better to leave without saying goodbye. If he left without saying goodbye, Kanglong didn't know the specific reason. If he had to go back to the Dragon Clan at the time, at least he would have a chance to make up for it, but if the Dragon Clan knew that he and Long Hu were going to find Beiming Fanyan, there would be little room for maneuver. Being in Kanglong, but thinking about Jialong, eating in a bowl, thinking about the pot, is there anyone willing to accept such a traitor? Even if Qin Biaoan was generous and the Kanglong patriarch valued him, it was impossible. If you want to leave without saying goodbye, you have to do it to the extreme. Xiao nodded and said, you can't be discovered in Dongzhou. If they didn't expose themselves before fleeing Dongzhou, then for the Kanglong clan, it would be like Long Long and Long Hu suddenly evaporated one day, maybe they were kidnapped. There are many possibilities. I'll go get some magic weapons for illusions. Xiao thought to herself that she had to go find Ali, try to disguise you perfectly. That's not necessary. Long Long nodded, I have the Red Dust 100 Worlds map. Xiao. I forgot. As long as I take the Yang Scroll of the Red Dust 100 Worlds map away, open it when I get to the coast of the North Sea, and teleport the two of them over, wouldn't that be fine? So the Red Dust 100 Worlds map, a magic weapon that can teleport life, is really too heaven-defying. With this treasure in hand, any formation, any blockade, can all be regarded as nothing, and you can pass through it at will. Without further delay, please ask Master to get on the road as soon as possible. Long Long took out the scroll and handed it to Xiao. Xiao took the scroll and suddenly felt something was wrong. This scroll, why does it seem like I've seen it somewhere? She suddenly recalled that when she and His Majesty Crazy Dragon were in the Shenangjia secret realm in the past, His Majesty had taken a scroll from the first level of the secret realm and put it in his pocket. At the time, she did not look at it carefully. After all, it was a magic weapon that the Immortal had taken away. It was not good to look at it eagerly and carefully, but the scroll seemed to be exactly the same as the one in her hand. Yes, I remember that His Majesty once said that the scroll was also called the Red Dust 100 Worlds picture. It was only later that when His Majesty left the Shenangjia secret realm, all the magic weapons in the bag disappeared, and everyone forgot about this matter. Thinking of this, Xia looked at Long Long in surprise. This guy, how did he do it? Long Long also looked at Xia meaningfully, but said nothing. The reason why he took out this magic weapon was of course not afraid of revealing the secret, and the reason was even simpler. From his understanding of Xiao, this master's focus has always been on the East Empire realm, and he has taken it as his responsibility to revive the Jialong clan. If you want to revive the Jialong clan, Long Long and Long Hu are the greatest hope, and they must not fail. As for the dragon ancestor in the cultivation world, although Long Long didn't know his origin, he could probably guess Xiao's purpose of following him. What other reasons could there be besides rescuing Emperor Yinglong in the demon locking tower? In other words, in Xiao's mind at this time, her importance must be greater than that of the dragon ancestor, so she would definitely pretend not to notice and help herself cover up. Of course, if I predicted wrong, it didn't matter. Anyway, I'm also a demon king in the cave realm now. If the master insists on being my enemy, then I will have to commit a crime. We are all dragons lurking in the Kanglong clan. If we really tear each other apart, who do you think the clan leader and the ancestor will help? Long Long thought about the backup plan with a dark mind, but he didn't know that Xiao didn't think so much at all. She was just shocked, and then she reacted quickly. The most important thing now is to transport the two out of Dongzhou and rush to Beihai and Beiming Fanyan to get in touch with each other, so as to solve the blood conflict problem in His Highness as soon as possible. As for the magic weapon in the bag of His Majesty the Crazy Dragon, why was it taken by his disciple? Who knows? I think it must be the spirit of the Red Dust 100 Worlds map, using space-related magical powers to make trouble. Otherwise how could this magic weapon disappear from the storage bag and transfer from the cultivation world to the Eastern Empire realm? Even if Li and I want to cross the two worlds, we must go through the Tianqian realm gate. There is no other way. Let His Majesty the Crazy Dragon continue to be angry. Now we need the Red Dust 100 Worlds map more. If you don't say it, I would have forgotten it. Xiao nodded seriously. With this treasure in hand, it is easy to transfer you out. But Long, don't forget that Kang Long also knows that you have this treasure. When you and Long Hu suddenly disappear, and no one in Dongzhou has seen your whereabouts, they will definitely associate it with this treasure. If you want to come back here later, I'm afraid you won't find a good excuse. Long also said seriously. Well, so this trip can only succeed, not fail. If successful, you'll stay and be Himing Fanning in the future, and naturally there is no need to return to the Kang Long clan. Xiao couldn't help but sigh again after hearing this. Somehow, since she met this disciple, she sighed more often than usual. That's it, she said with determination. After taking the scroll of the Red Dust 100 Worlds map, Xiao left Jianmu Island again and flew towards Bizhou. Riding on the clouds is the magical power of the Dragon Clan to travel. Although it is very fast, it is definitely impossible to hide your body. Along the way, there were Dragon Clan monks patrolling the sky, approaching from a distance. After confirming Xiao's identity as a clan elder, they saluted from a distance and turned away. Finally arriving at the border between Dongzhou and Bizhou, Xiao was about to move forward when she saw two black turtle monks suddenly approaching in front of her on a flying magic weapon. They said politely, "Sorry, the Bizhou border is now closed and foreign monks are not allowed to pass." What do you mean? Xiao frowned immediately. We dragons have always been on good terms with you black tortoises. Why did you suddenly close the border to us? Elder Xiao. One of the black turtle monks knew her, and after thinking for a moment, he said seriously, "It's okay to tell you this. Anyway, you dragons will know soon. The Kaling Prince Kiwihun, who was staying with us, was recently assassinated." Chapter 917 Absolute. Hearing that Kiwihun was assassinated, Xiao's heart suddenly sank. What a good trick. You must know that the reason why Bizhou went to war with Dongzhou and Shizhou was to support Kiwihun to take the throne and thus gain the greatest political benefits. If Kiwihun died unfortunately, no matter what the reason was, at least Kikaosing's throne would no longer be threatened. Bizhou was completely out of this power game, and it didn't matter whether the war was won or not. This is a plan to cut off the firewood from the bottom of the pot. A sure kill. Is Prince Colin dead? Xiao asked immediately. Of course not. The other party replied, so we are now blocking the entire territory and strictly investigating all suspected foreign monks. Elder, she should go back and don't make it difficult for us. Xiao immediately sneered in his heart. What am I asking? Even if Prince Colin died, before the Black Turtle clan figured out how to deal with the follow-up, Bizhou would definitely declare to the outside world that he was not dead. But this is troublesome. Now the entire North Province is blocked. Even if I bring the Yang Scroll of the Red Dust 100 Worlds, I can't reach the North Sea to put it down and teleport Long and the others. Thinking of this, Xiao, who was temporarily at a loss, turned around again and detoured from the northern border of Dongzhou to Shizhou and came to the clan land of the Sky Fox clan. The Sky Fox clan, who often visited this friend of Elder Li, was not surprised. The Sky Patrolling monk just came over to take a look and did not stop her. He even reminded her to fly lower to avoid being seen by outsiders. After all, the relationship between Shizhou and Dongzhou is not harmonious now. Li. Xiao arrived at the other party's cave and pushed the door in directly, shouting, "There is a place where you can be used again." Li almost vomited blood and asked speechlessly, "Are you going there again?" "That's not the case." Xiao said to her, "Bizhou was now under martial law. It is said that Kiwihun, the Prince of Colin, was assassinated. Is this true?" Li was surprised. "Don't tell me you don't know." "I really don't know." Li said, "The assassin was definitely not sent by our Sky Fox clan. As for the White Tigers, even if they did it, they wouldn't specifically inform us. That's troublesome." Xiao sighed and said, "No one can enter Bizhou now. Should I find an acquaintance from the Black Turtle clan and ask him to help take the Red Dust 100 Worlds map to Beihai?" "Of course not." Li said, "Once you said you wanted to send it to Beihai, how could people not guess the reason?" Besides, would you dare to give a treasure like the Red Dust 100 Worlds map to others casually? I dare not. Xiao said, help me think of a way. Got it. Li suddenly had an idea and said, if Shizao attacks Bizao, there is no need to worry about blocking the border. You take Long Long and the others and mix in our Sky Fox clan's team to Bizao, right? After you arrive in Bizao, find an opportunity to leave the team and go north. By then, Bizao will be busy fighting with us, and I guess it won't have the energy to take care of you. Well said. Xiao praised, you should quickly arrange for Shizao to attack Bizao again. This is a bit difficult. Li looked embarrassed. The main reason is that Kikiao has been in power for a long time, and his rule over the Cunning clan and even Thongzhou was basically stable. Even if Bizao does not recognize his throne, it can no longer shake and interfere in the politics of the imperial capital. So the current consensus of the various clans in Shizao was that as long as Bizao does not provoke us, we will not use troops again. Then find a way to let Bizao provoke. At this point, Xiao was suddenly stuck. The last time Bizao confronted the coalition forces of Shizao and Thongzhou, it was defeated and fell behind. Now taking advantage of the celebration of the Dongzhou Dragon clan to cease fire, it has not even had time to recuperate. How could it provoke a border conflict? Don't worry too much. Seeing her thoughtful face, Li persuaded her, why don't you ask your apprentice? He has the most ideas. Even the White Tiger God General admitted that this person's wisdom is unpredictable. Why don't you see what ideas he has? Did the White Tiger God General say that? Xiao asked in surprise. That's not the case. Li said nonchalantly, but it seems that he said something similar at the clan gathering. I also heard rumors. Forget it. Xiao frowned and thought, even if my apprentice is a little clever, he only relies on the respect of the high-level Dragon clan. The North State Black Turtle has no relationship with him. Even if he has the ability to reach the sky, how can he affect the decision-making of the North State? Just ask. Li urged her, it won't hurt to ask. Xiao pondered for a long time, and finally sighed. Forget it, ask. The matter involved confidential information, so they could not use communication magic tools to communicate, so as not to leave traces. So Xiao once again borrowed the Thongzhou route and flew back to Dongzhou. When she returned to Jianmu Island, she saw Long Long sitting between Longhu and Qinyi, talking wittily to the two girls. Both of them were laughing and were amused by Long Long. Xiao. What should I do if I suddenly don't want to help him? Seeing that the master finally returned, Long Long found a reason to say goodbye and left, and then followed Xiao to the nearby quiet room. The entire Bizao was closed. Xiao wanted to embarrass him, so she said expressionlessly, it is said that Prince Qiwihung of Kalin was assassinated. In any case, your master can't go to Bihai, so I'll return the scroll to you. However, Long Long did not take the Red Dust 100 Worlds picture yang scroll handed by Xiao, but just frowned and asked, since Bizao doesn't allow passage, master, didn't you think of other ways? For example, the Mao tribe of Shizao, when they were fighting with Bizao before, they marched straight in and captured several cities in a row. If you can use the power of Shizao, it shouldn't be difficult to win to Bizao. Then it's your fault. Xiao said coldly, because you entered the Dongyuan realm, the Dragon clan sent out celebration invitations to the princes of the world, so Shizao and Bizao also followed the ancient rituals and ceased fighting with each other. Now the two states have not resumed the war, and the method you said is not feasible. How could it be? Long Long smiled. Qiwihun was assassinated. Why did Bizao block the entire territory? It is said that they are searching for the assassin. Xiao replied. It's just to cover up the truth. Long Long shook his head. How did the assassin sneak into Bizao and assassinate Qiwihun? I think it must be through the traitor channel to pass through the layers of defense of the Chuan clan and launch an attack. For Bizao, foreign assassins are definitely endless. What's really important is to cut off the traitor channel and fill the corresponding defense loopholes. What's so difficult about this? We can find out who ends in and out and where on the day with just a check. Why do we have to block the entire territory and search for the assassin? You mean? Xiao was slightly stunned when he heard it, and then realized something. The reason for blocking the entire territory is to cover up the large-scale mobilization of troops. Long Long said slowly, now Kikiao has been in power for a long time, and his legal rule over Thongzhou has gradually become stable. If Bizao doesn't take a risk again, the possibility of winning in the end will only become smaller and smaller. Xiao was silent for a long time, secretly amazed. Absolutely. Li was right, my disciple's brain is indeed flexible enough. I'm not as good as him. Chapter 918 Good Son-in-Law. A few months later. Long Long was talking to Longer when he suddenly heard Shiro knocking on the door outside. Long Long, come out for a moment. The master's tone seemed a little strange. So he pushed open the door and saw Shiro winking at Longer in the room, which meant, have you told her? Long Long nodded first, then shook his head. That meant I told her, but not completely. Shiro. She didn't care so much. Since Long Long didn't ask Longer to come and listen, let's not let Longer know for the time being. After arriving in a quiet room nearby and confirming that she was not being monitored, Shiro said with a complicated expression, as you expected, Shizao has declared war on Bizao. Ah? Long Long was a little confused. The current situation in the Eastern Empire realm is that Bizao has to go all out, while Shizao can take its time. It stands to reason that Bizao should go to war first. Just as you said before. Shiro continued to say slowly, Bizao strictly blocks the border and does not allow any foreign cultivators to enter. Shizao seems to think that Bizao intends to start a border conflict again, so they are ready to strike first. The White Tiger God General is really good. Long Long pondered and said, if the two states must go to war, it is certainly better to strike first than to defend and counterattack. After all, the former can push the battlefield to the opposite territory, and the latter can only start a war in their own home. A typical example is that Zhongzhou attacked Nanzhou before, and almost beat the two river plains in the north of Nanzhou to pieces. Yuan Jiangqing didn't know how many years it would take to recover. But the problem is that not everyone can have a strategic overall view. Who can guarantee that Bizao will definitely come? Because Kikaosen has been in office for a long time, Shizao can't see the benefit of another war, and the power of the peace faction must be unprecedentedly strong. There is almost no second choice except the White Tiger God General who can make Shizao fight Bizao first against the opposition. It really wasn't the White Tiger God General this time. Shiro finally showed an expression of you can also make mistakes sometimes, and rarely showed a smile. It was the eldest Princess Qingzhu who entered Shizao in person to persuade the White Tiger Patriarch to agree to go to war. It turned out to be the little tiger. Long Long was silent for a long time, and said, in any case, it can be regarded as helping us. When do you plan to go to Shizao with me? Shiro asked. Leaving Dongzhou and going to Shizao, the Dragon Clan will never agree to it on the surface, which means that we can only leave without saying goodbye. By then, Dongzhou will definitely be shocked, and it will be impossible to turn back. The sooner the better. Long Long sighed, it seems that the patience of the clan for me is running out. Force you to get married, right? Shiro laughed. You can't delay other people's reputation. Long Long replied. When you go to Shizao, there is one thing you have to pay attention to. Shiro suddenly remembered something and said, don't let people recognize you. Of course. Long Long agreed without thinking, and then frowned and asked, why? What do you think? Shiro said meaningfully. If your identity is discovered by Shizao, can't the White Tiger clan find dozens or hundreds of Mao clan girls? Not to mention, is the eldest Princess Qingzhu also interested in you? Maybe you can be taken back to Zhongzhou to be a prince consort. I don't understand what Master is talking about. Long Long said with a stiff face, let's not discuss this topic. Master, please help me and Long Hu arrange the preparations in Shizao. Humph. Seeing his embarrassed expression, Shiro finally understood, took the Yang scroll of the Red Dust 100 Worlds map, and left triumphantly. Long Long waited in Dongzhou for several days, and was suddenly called by the clan leader Qin Biao to discuss matters. For a moment, he felt guilty that he was seen through before he ran away, but he soon calmed down and went to the meeting calmly. Sure enough, at the meeting, the elders of the Dragon Clan gathered together to discuss the current tense situation in Shizao and Bizao, and no one knew his plans. Western Province will never start a war easily. A Dragon Elder said, now that the politics of Central Province is basically stable, Qiwihung has no hope of becoming the Emperor. Why would Western Province take the initiative to attack Northern Province when there is no profit to be made? That's right. The other elders also echoed. If Western Province does not want to start a war, why did it mobilize all tribes and gather troops again? The clan leader Qin Biao asked leisurely. I think it's because Northern Province has blocked the entire territory, so Western Province is also overly vigilant. Another Dragon Elder said. Qin Biao did not accept this explanation, his brows were still furrowed, and the atmosphere on the field became quiet. As a newly promoted elder, Long Long just stood by and watched with his hands at ease. The statement of being overly vigilant is obviously unreasonable. The deployment of troops in a defensive counter-attack war and an aggressive war is completely different. A careful examination of the situation in Western Province can easily determine that these Drac elders are talking nonsense with their eyes open. However, Long Long also knows why everyone is like this. It's nothing more than not wanting to fight anymore. If Bizhou, Zhongzhou and Shizhou each have their own interests to pursue, and Nanzhou is out of hatred for Zhongzhou, then Dongzhou is the only one that has neither interests nor sufficient motivation to participate in this war. Smart people know that when everyone is fighting with their brains, if you stand by and watch, you'll sooner or later get burned, and it is impossible not to take sides. But whether it is Shizhou or Dongzhou, most of the demon tribes are not smart, right? Since everyone is tired of war, Long Long certainly won't come out to sing the opposite tune, but the clan leader Qin Biuan refused to let him go and directly asked, Long Long, what do you think? What do you mean by what I think? Are you the clan leader or am I the clan leader? Long Long sighed in his heart for a moment and replied, if Shizhou really goes to war with Bizhou, what will happen to our clan? Everyone was silent. When everyone heard this question, the first thought in their mind was subconsciously, what does it have to do with us? The war between Shizhou and Bizhou was concentrated in the northwest of the Eastern Empire realm, so it naturally did not affect Dongzhou. It was mainly a question of how to express politically. It depends on what Nanzhou means. Seeing that everyone was speechless, Long Long reminded them again. Even if Shizhou attacks Bizhou, it has nothing to do with this. But if Nanzhou sees that Shizhou is being restrained and takes advantage of the situation to attack Dongzhou, this will have something to do with this. The overall situation of the military is a matter of one hair moving the whole body, is nothing more than this. Not bad. Qin Biuan nodded approvingly. The originally messy relationship was immediately made clear by Long Long's few words, unraveling the silk and analyzing it. If Nanzhou attacks Dongzhou, Dongzhou must follow, otherwise it will not only offend its ally Nanzhou, but also Dongzhou may not give Dongzhou any good face because of the previous war. It can be said that both sides are not people. But if Nanzhou does not move, Dongzhou will certainly not provoke Dongzhou. It is completely unprofitable, so what is there to fight? Thinking of this, he looked at Long Long with more appreciation. This boy is indeed my good son-in-law. Chapter 919. King Qiu Mounting, the land of the Sky Fox clan. Qin Yi and Long Yu have been chatting enthusiastically recently. They have started to call each other sisters, and their relationship is heating up. Of course, according to the Kanglong clan, she is the eldest wife, and Long Yu should call her sister. Long Yu seems to have no objection, and has recently started to call Qin's sister and Yi her sister, which makes Qin Yi very happy. In the future, no matter what little turtle, little red bird, or little tiger comes in, they have to call me sister first. After sending Qin Yi away, who was in a good mood, Long Yu's tail was impatiently raised, and she stretched out her hand to rub her eyebrows hard. Irritable. Unlike Qin Yi, Long Yu doesn't want to share Long Long with any other female. There is a real relationship between her and Long Long, and naturally she will derive a desire for exclusivity, hoping that her husband will belong to her alone. Even if it is for the purpose of the demon clan to expand and multiply bloodliness, to let many concubines marry into the family, I am the eldest wife. Thinking that she had to flatter and call others sister in a humble manner, Long was so angry that she couldn't stop pulling out her tail hair. Fox. Long Long pushed the door open from outside and said seriously. What? Long responded unhappily. It's time to go. Long Long said. Long was slightly startled when she heard the words, and then she realized that the time she had been waiting for had finally come. Are you leaving? She turned her head slightly and looked at the furnishings in the surrounding rooms. To be honest, after staying in the Dragon clan for so many years, it would be a lie to say that she didn't miss it. Long Yu is not a masochist. She gave up a good, pampered and wealthy life and ran to a life of exile. It's just, I want to go with Long Long. Let's go. Long Yu raised one hand. Long Long held her hand, just like when he trekked in the rainforest of Nanzhou many years ago, and held Long Yu's little hand tightly. The two smiled at each other and disappeared in the transmission aura of the Red Dust 100 Worlds map. Master. The Red Dust 100 Worlds suddenly whispered to Long Long, is this what is called keeping a mistress? Aren't you afraid that Master Lily will be angry if you do this? Nonsense, what do you mean by keeping a mistress? Long Long immediately scolded it, it's just keeping a fox, what kind of mistress is it? If you dare to go to Lily and show off your words and destroy the feelings and relationship between us, then whether it is me or her, we will directly take it out on you. I won't tell. The inexperienced Red Dust 100-World spirit quickly shrank back into its own magic weapon. Long Long was a little unhappy, thinking that this spirit was so nosy that it seemed that he had to carry it with him, in case Luli came into contact with it and it said something it shouldn't say. He turned his head to look at the dragon fox, and saw that although the dragon fox had no expression on its face, its tail hidden under its skirt kept swinging, and from time to time it would stick to his calf. It seemed that it was very happy and did not notice the conversation between him and the Red Dust 100 Worlds. Long Long calmed down a little, and saw that the two of them had appeared in a room while the world was spinning. The two people standing in the room at this time were naturally Shiro and Duli. Longhu. Duli ran over and hugged her, her voice trembling. Since the war between Shizao and Dongzhao, she rarely came to Dongzhao to see Longhu. Aunt. Longhu nodded reservedly. Longhu never showed too much affection to this blood-related aunt, and she didn't know why. Duli didn't care about it, but kept asking about her niece's well-being, as if she couldn't see her embarrassment at all. Well, it is estimated that this big fox is also very black-bellied. Where are we? Long Long asked. Shizao, Kinkia Mountain. Shio replied, next, you have to disguise yourself. Put these 2 beads under your tongue, and I will teach you a set of mental skills. Duli took out 2 pink beads. When walking in the tribe of the Sky Fox clan, you have to pretend that you are also a fox. Long Long took the beads and thought to himself, it is not difficult to disguise yourself as a fox, but it is difficult to explain to you how I disguise myself. Do I have to disguise myself too? Long asked. Of course. Duli touched her hair. Such a pretty little fox girl will definitely attract attention when walking in the tribe. You still have to cover up your beauty a little. So Longu blushed slightly, took the beads and said nothing. In the next few days, the two were locked in the house by Li, and asked to learn to imitate the words and deeds of various fox tribes. The ending tone of your speech should be raised. Yes, raised. Use 3 fingers to hold the chopsticks, and the ring finger and little finger should be raised. Try to make an orchid finger. This is too feminine. Long Long really couldn't accept it. It's okay for a fox girl to act cute, but what's the matter with a male like this? This is not feminine, this is gentleness. Duli taught him, we foxes regard gentleness as beauty, and we won't show off our muscles like white tigers and be proud of our roughness. Since you want to disguise yourself as a fox boy, even if your appearance is flawless, at least you can't reveal any flaws when you talk and walk, right? This disguise is too difficult, Long Long protested weakly. He is also a man with 5 small accounts, but it is too difficult to pretend to be a sissy, and he has no idea how to act. If it doesn't work, just stay in the house and don't go out. Duli said bluntly, look at our dragon fox, it has no problem disguising itself as a fox. Long Long. Forget it, auntie. Longhu persuaded, why don't you just stop pretending to be a fox? How about other fur tribes? Other fur tribes, Duli thought distressedly, and looked at Long Long carefully. With your temperament, I'm afraid it's more appropriate to pretend to be a weasel. What do you mean? Is my temperament very similar to that of a weasel? Long Long's face suddenly turned black, and he heard Longhu clapping his hands and laughing. Then pretend to be a weasel. To be a weasel, with your current words and deeds, you don't need to pretend to be anything. Duli also smiled and covered her mouth, just keep this cunning and treacherous attitude. So Long Long began to practice the secret art of disguise again. To be honest, this low-level fox illusion is not worth mentioning compared to Wei Jing's mirror flower and water moon. Not only do you need to keep the cave essence flowing at all times, you also have to hold the beads under your tongue, and you can't make any strange sounds when you speak. It's so troublesome. But he couldn't explain the existence of Arjun to Shiro and the others, so he just practiced and used illusion to disguise himself as a weasel. A few days passed like this, and he didn't know what the reaction of the dragon tribe would be when they found out that the two are missing. Anyway, Duli and Shiro discussed for a while that day and decided to let the two of them come out and walk around the tribe of the Sky Fox tribe to see if they would reveal any flaws. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 920. The fox takes advantage of the tiger. There are so many mountains here. Longhu said casually. Yeah. Long Long agreed. The two sat on a hill near the tribe, looking at the endless mountains in the distance. If Nanzaru is a dense and flourishing tropical jungle, and Dongzaru is a swamp and island with a network of water, then Shizaru is an endless mountain range, and the high altitude areas have little precipitation, so the mountains are mostly green and bald, and the vegetation is sparse. The climate and environment here are very similar to the low altitude areas on the Kunlun Mountains, so Long is used to it, but has Longhu ever seen such a wonder? For a while, she was also very interested in climbing mountains everywhere, climbing high and looking far, looking around. Long accompanied her to wander around. In the eyes of other Sky Fox people, it was just a weasel and a fox traveling together. Although it was rare, they looked unfamiliar after all, so no one came to meddle. The Fox clan was still peaceful, but due to the White Tiger clan's call for a full conscription, many clans had already mobilized in advance and went to the Holy Mountain to wait for the call. The Holy Mountain was the highest mountain in Shizaru and even the entire Eastern Empire realm. Its upper half was covered with thick, perennial ice, and most of the time it was snowing and windy, and the environment was extremely harsh. Longhu wanted to go to the top of the Holy Mountain for a tour, but it was the family forbidden area of the White Tiger clan, so the two could only look at each other from afar on the Kinkia Mountain. Forget it, I won't look anymore. Longhu stood up and said, I'm going to go shopping in the market. Long had already gained a lot of experience in accompanying girls shopping from Mishi, so he immediately agreed. The two of them went down Kinkyo Mountain and went shopping in a nearby market. It was basically Longhu who looked and chose, and bargained with the little demon stall owner who had not yet fully transformed. Long was responsible for paying the money and putting the purchased things into the storage bag. The two were strolling happily when they suddenly heard a voice nearby. A red weasel and a sky fox, how come they are mixed together? Long looked up and saw a leopard demon with colorful clothes, with 3 or 4 younger brothers, looking at him provocatively. The appearance of this leopard demon was very familiar. He searched in his memory for a moment and roughly recalled. It seemed that in the past, when the Dragon Clan was exploring the secret land of Shenlong Island in the East Empire realm, they had met this leopard demon from the Fur Clan. What was the other party's name? Oh, I remember it. This leopard demon was called Baoinu. Although he was born in the Leopard Clan, he was not accepted by the Leopard Clan for some reason, so he turned to the White Tiger Clan as a dependent, and was willing to be a slave. He was fawning and flattering to his superiors, allowing them to be beaten and scolded, and was extremely tyrannical to his subordinates. Therefore, he had a very bad reputation among the Demon Clan, and even his real name was forgotten. He was just called Bao, which means to cover a leopard skin with a tiger skin. If Long's real body was here, he would have given him dozens of slaps. But now, one of them is a weasel and the other is a fox. Both of them are ordinary tribesmen with low cultivation levels, setting, so it is not easy to provoke each other. After exchanging glances with Longhu, the two are about to turn around and leave, but the other's younger brother rushed over to block their way. Don't leave. The boy slave said frivolously, I'm asking you. Where are you from? A weasel and a fox mixed together, are you trying to crossbreed or what? Long was secretly nervous, knowing that the other party must not know her true identity, otherwise he would not be so provocative. That is, he just came here to pick a fight and have fun. But the two are now in disguise, and it is not convenient to reveal their identities, so how should they deal with it? She was thinking nervously, and heard Long's voice transmission. Don't panic, this guy is tricking us. Trick us? Longhu is not a stupid fox, but just now he was anxious and confused. Now Long reminded him, he reacted immediately. Although this boy slave has a violent temperament and enjoys bullying the weak, he also has the cunning that belongs to small people. This market is close to Kinkyo Mountain, and even if the other party is attached to Beru, he really dare not provoke the real Tianhu noble lady. He provoked Longhu verbally, but never took action, just to deceive Longhu whether she is a noble lady of the Tianhu clan. If it is just an ordinary clan member of low status, then even if he bullies for fun and then walks away afterwards, will the Tianhu clan go to the Beru clan to ask for someone for an ordinary clan member? Even if they really want someone, the Beru clan will not agree. But if it is a younger relative of the clan leader or elder, when the elders come to the door in the name of personal grudges, the Beru clan will not feel that their dignity is offended, and naturally they will not refuse for a house slave. Thinking of this, Longhu had already seen through the other party's psychology, so he immediately changed into an arrogant and rude attitude, sneering and saying, Where did you come from, slave? How dare you say anything about my affairs? Long cooperated and grabbed the collar of one of the younger brothers and gave him a big slap in the face. He is now in the Dongyuan realm. Although he restrained his strength, he still beat the other party so hard that his teeth fell out and his mouth was swollen. He staggered and fell to the ground, crying out in pain. The boy slave was called a house slave and the younger brother was beaten on the spot. His face was blue and white, and he was very angry. But because of this, he was a little unsure of the other party's identity, mainly because this place is too close to Kinkia Mountain. What if it is really a Tianhu noble lady who shouts out a bunch of princes? He, a slave, is really not enough for her to break his bones and knock his marrow to vent her anger. Thinking of this, the boy slave retreated silently and quickly disappeared into the crowd with his younger brothers. The dragon fox finally breathed a sigh of relief, and asked Long Long with a smile, "How is it? Am I pretending well?" "What do you mean by pretending?" Long Long said with a smile, "You're a noble lady. If the other party didn't show his weakness and leave, I would have used the name of elderly." "That's right." The dragon fox nodded. "I forgot about my aunt." "How could I forget this? It seems that they are not so close." Long Long mourned for the big fox for a moment, and then continued to go shopping with the dragon fox. However, the boy slave fled with his little brother in a panic, and his heart was also blazing with anger and extremely unhappy. Generally speaking, the noble ladies of the Fox clan disdain to hang out with outsiders, not to mention that the bloodline of the Weasel clan is mostly not of high rank, and they are not even qualified to take in slaves, so he subconsciously thought that the other party was just an ordinary member of the Sky Fox clan. Who would have thought that the other party could actually show off his domineering style, which shows that his status and position behind him are not low. The slave suddenly remembered. When the fox girl first met, she frowned and looked uneasy. After a while, she suddenly got angry and scolded him and his brothers. If she was born a noble lady and was used to ordering and insulting people, then why was she hesitant before? Thinking of this, the slave finally suddenly realized. Oh no, she was tricked by the other party. Chapter 921 The Princess Arrives in Shizhou. There is an old saying in the Eastern Empire realm, fox girls have always been affectionate. This is reflected in Kinkia Mountain, where tourists and pedestrians in the market at the foot of the mountain are almost all in pairs, and there are few people who are alone. However, most of the fox girls are accompanied by fox boys of the same clan. Of course, there are occasionally a few fox girls surrounding a fox boy. Obviously, there are far more females than males in the Sky Fox clan, so there is a sign of the dominance of yin and the decline of yang. What do you think of this pearl hairpin? Long Hu picked up a jade pearl hairpin with white orchid-shaped tassels on it. It looks good. Long Long said without hesitation, "Fox, your temperament is originally sweet, and with this elegant and new flower hairpin, the whole person's charm will appear very layered. At first glance, it is sweet and cute, but if you look closely, you'll have the temperament of a woman's intellectual beauty." Long Hu was overjoyed when he heard it. His ears turned, and his tail couldn't help shaking. However, he thought about it again. Why did Long Long speak so skillfully? Has he said similar things to many other women? After going this way, he felt a little depressed and didn't even want to go shopping in the market. Long Long accompanied Long Hu out of the market and walked towards Kinkia Mountain. Before they arrived at the land of the Sky Fox clan, they saw a boy slave suddenly blocking the road from the front, and there were still a few younger brothers beside him. "You thief!" The boy slave opened his eyes wide and shouted, "How dare you pretend to be a noble lady of the Fox clan? What crime should you be punished for?" "No, you're a leopard monster, how can you chase us all day long?" Long Long was a little annoyed, and when he heard him talk about the tiger skin of pretending to be a noble lady, he was immediately amused again. "Even if we pretend to be fox girls, what does it have to do with you, a leopard? Even if you want to find a reason to provoke, this is not the way to find it." He wanted to bring up Yuli's name to scare the other party away directly, but then he thought that there was no one around, so it would be better to kill the other party here to avoid trouble later. After exchanging glances with Dragon Fox, Long Long said slowly, "What do you want to do?" Ba Yindu was startled when he heard this, and suddenly felt something was wrong. If the other party was really pretending to be a noble lady, she should be panicking and uneasy when she was suddenly exposed by me. Why is she so confident? But thinking of the nervousness and uneasiness that Dragon Fox had shown before, Ba Yindu quickly made up his mind. Bluff. It must be a bluff. He was about to threaten again, but Long Long suddenly snapped his fingers. Under the feet of Ba Yindu and his younger brother, a small formation suddenly appeared. Before the three furry monsters could react, the formation was quickly activated, binding the three monsters at the same time, and countless sword energy appeared out of thin air, cutting towards the three people. "I'm a servant of the White Tiger clan." The slave was suddenly restrained and had no power to fight back. He knew that he had encountered a tough opponent. He was about to shout for help and threaten, but a sword energy pierced into his mouth, breaking his tongue, and his mouth was full of blood. He couldn't speak. Then, the three monsters were completely dismembered by the sword energy, and their flesh and blood fell to the ground. Is this a formation? Long Hu asked in surprise, covering her mouth. She had seen Long Long kill people with dragon martial arts and dragon magical powers, and she had also seen Long Long sword controlling skills and magic weapons, but this was the first time she had seen a formation. Well, Long Long said to her in secret, now that I am in a foreign land, it is better not to use the methods I was familiar with before, in case someone sees it. So the little fox began to concentrate on thinking, what fighting methods do I not usually use, but can use now? If Long Long knew what was in her little head, he would definitely knock her hard. You're originally a fox clan, and now you were also disguised as a fox clan. Is there any fox clan magical power that you can't use? He dealt with the bodies of the three people, and then left quickly with the dragon fox. Not to mention that the two people left, the eldest princess of the Cunning clan, Qiangzhu, arrived in Shizhou from Thongzhou a few days later, came to the foot of the holy mountain, and asked to see the patriarch of the White Tiger clan, Ming. Grandfather. In the cave, Qiangzhu sat down on the futon and said in a deep voice, I wonder how the war preparations are going. 7 or 8 out of 10 have been assembled. Ming said with a serious look, what is the attitude of Thongzhou? The Queen Mother is naturally willing to stand on the side of the Mother clan. Qiangzhu said calmly, it's just that the attitude of the Cunning ancestor is ambiguous. If the Cunning clan does not give support, Shizhou will be alone and unable to support it. Ming said in a deep voice. Grandfather. Qiangzhu lowered her head and said, it's not that we want to go to war now, but that Bizhou must make a desperate struggle. Grandfather, since you know that you want to assassinate the Cunning traitor, you should also understand that Bizhou has not given up the idea until now. If you don't give up this idea, if something happens to your majesty in the future, the war will probably be rekindled. Lu Ming was silent for a long time, and suddenly said in a cold voice, if Qiqiaosing suddenly dies, the situation in Thongzhou will certainly change in the short term, but it may not be disadvantageous to us in the long run. Qiangzhu's face was a little ugly. After a little thought, she knew what her grandfather meant. The alliance between Thongzhou and Shizhou was now based on the joint fight against Bizhou, and it also means that Qiqiaosing's illegitimate child is not legal, and needs the endorsement of Queen Luya. When Bizhou surrenders and Qiqiaosing's throne is stable, when the Cunning ancestor settles the account afterwards, it is unknown what he will do to Luya and even Shizhou. Therefore, for Shizhou, it not only needs Bizhou, the common enemy, but also needs Qiqiaosing to not take control of Thongzhou as soon as possible. If the little emperor is assassinated by Bizhou, it will undoubtedly be a huge blow to the alliance between Shizhou and Bizhou in the short term. In response, the Cunning ancestor can only find another illegitimate child and force him to ascend the throne. Considering that this illegitimate child has no bloodline, his dependence on Queen Luya will inevitably deepen, and the alliance between Shizhou and Bizhou will become more consolidated. Why did Grandpa say this? Qiangzhu said in a deep voice, if your majesty is unfortunately lost, the Cunning clan will certainly be in turmoil. At the time, let alone Thongzhou's dependence on Shizhou, it is also a matter of debate whether Thongzhou will split internally. Has Grandpa forgotten the 3 dragons fighting for the throne in the former imperial capital? The 3 dragons fighting for the throne refers to the Yinlong Empire falling into the human world, and the Jielong clan supporting another Jielong Empire to come to power. As a result, he was assassinated a few years later because of signing a treaty that lost power and humiliated the clan. After the death of the emperor, his 3 sons fought for the throne, killing people in the imperial capital and causing a bloodbath. This severely weakened the strength of the Jielong clan, and finally allowed the Cunning clan to take advantage of the situation and seize the greatest power in the Eastern Empire realm. I know. Lu Ming said indifferently, this is why our clan has not taken action so far. Grandfather, it is always necessary to be cautious. Qiangzhu breathed a sigh of relief, and chatted with the unsmiling old man for a long time before saying goodbye and leaving. After leaving the cave, Qiangzhu looked at the surrounding holy mountains covered with snow and many buildings in the style of the White Tiger family, and felt a little dazed for a while. For many years, although she had accepted the fact that she was a White Tiger, she still had no sense of belonging to this clan land, but instead relied more on the small family in the imperial capital. Although her stupid mother, sometimes it is really hard to tolerate. Well, let's go to the nearby market for a stroll. Chapter 922 The princess meets Long Long. Looking at the endless mountains in the distance, Qiangzhu felt a little monotonous. If we only talk about the richness of the environment and terrain, Zhongzhou was the best among the 5 states. The climate is not as hot as Menzhou, not as bitter and cold as Bizhou, not as wet and muddy as Dongzhou, and not as dry as Shizhou. It can be said that it concentrates the advantages of each state. Shizhou was mountainous and rainless, and the higher the place, the more so that the tops of many mountains are bare, looking green and white, and very ugly. Maybe I'm the one who is really ugly. Not tolerated by Colin, and not belonging to Bearlu, just like the colorful and mixed mountains. Qiangzhu looked at it silently for a long time, tightened her clothes, and went down the mountain with the art of walking. Among the 5 major demon tribes, Colin is good at the art of walking, the black turtle is good at the art of earth escape, and the other 3 tribes are better at flying. The dragon tribe soars in the clouds, the white tiger rides the wind, and the red bird is born to fly. Although Qiangzhu did not have Colin blood, she had learned the art of walking, but she was not as proficient as the Horn clan. When she arrived at a nearby place, Qiangzhu saw several young masters of the white tiger clan standing there, watching the servants digging the soil. What's wrong? She went over and asked casually. Your Highness. The white tiger recognized the identity of this person and said respectfully, I just came here to look for something because I lost something. Lost something? Qiangzhu pondered. She was not a nosy person, but at this time she had the knot of not fitting in with the white tiger clan, so she asked casually. What is it? Just some magic tools. Then a white tiger master came out and laughed. This person is a servant of my clan. I ordered him to go to the market to buy magic tools, but he didn't come back for a long time. We originally thought that this cunning slave had absconded with the money, so we used secret methods to track him down, only to find out that he was killed here. Killed? Qiangzhu frowned slightly and said, in broad daylight, someone actually committed a crime here? The white tiger masters looked at each other, thinking, isn't this normal? Here is a conflict between the worldviews of both sides. Qiangzhu was born in the imperial capital, where the demon clan is densely populated, so there are the golden horn guards of the imperial capital to enforce the law. For similar murders, there are naturally special people to deal with them in a timely manner. But the land in Shizhou was vast and sparsely populated. Many cultivators have been killed for various reasons. Their bodies have been exposed in the wilderness for several years without anyone finding them. Naturally, no one can investigate them strictly. However, Qiangzhu was the eldest princess of the Cunning royal family, and her status was respected. No one dared to disobey her, so no one said anything strange like isn't this making a fuss? They just flattered the eldest princess and echoed her. Your Highness is right. The murderer must be investigated. Which demon tribe is the closest to this place? Qiangzhu continued to ask. It is the Sky Fox tribe of Qingqia Mountain. Someone answered. Well, I'll go and see. Qiangzhu didn't say anything about seeking justice for the white tiger tribe. After all, the deceased was just a family slave in the tribe, and it seemed that he was an outsider. Going to the Sky Fox on this ground was obviously a provocation. I didn't go to ask for punishment, but to ask if the other party had any clues to provide. When I arrived at the Sky Fox tribe's residence, Qiangzhu handed over the visiting card. Seeing that it was the princess of Zhongzhou who came to visit, the head of the Sky Fox tribe, Yuan, immediately came to greet him in person. Your Highness, the princess is a rare guest. I hope you will forgive me for my poor hospitality. You are too polite, chief. Qiangzhu said straight to the point, I came here to ask you something. Your Highness, please speak. Just outside the market town near Qingqia Mountain, a murder occurred, Qiangzhu told the story. Yuan looked serious at first, but when he heard that the deceased was a servant, his expression suddenly became ugly again. Although our Sky Fox clan is a vassal of the White Tiger clan, we cannot be humiliated by you like this. Do you have to come to our door to hold our clan responsible for the accidental death of a White Tiger servant? Therefore, I just want to ask if you have any clues. Qiangzhu said at last. It's not that I'm hiding it from you, Your Highness. Yuan replied slowly, it's just that our clan has never restricted the entry and exit of our clan members. How many clan members left the clan today, went out to play, or passed by the crime scene, but I don't know. By the way, I heard that the White Tiger clan has the White Tiger secret guard, who is responsible for the spy intelligence work of the entire Shizhou. Why don't you ask the clan members? I'm rude. Qiangzhu was speechless for a long time and could only say. Going to the White Tiger secret guard to seek intelligence because of the death of a family slave is indeed an act of not knowing the seriousness of the matter. The reason why Yuan brought up this matter was also to hint to Qingzhou. It's really a bit too much to come to us for such a thing. Qingzhou was a little embarrassed, so she said goodbye to Yuan and left. Yuan also felt a little rude, so he kindly asked Qingzhou to stay until the clan of the Sky Fox clan. Otherwise, if the news spread outside, saying that the princess came to Qingqiu to visit, and left in embarrassment before an incense stick of time, how would people outside evaluate the Fox clan? Qingzhou reluctantly agreed, and Yuan called a few fox girls of the same age and asked them to take the princess to the beautiful places in the tribe to play. These fox girls are indeed gentle by nature, and they are also flattering. They chatted with a few words, which soon made Qingzhou's mood better. The group was talking and laughing, telling Qingzhou about the interesting things in Shizhou, and suddenly they saw a weasel boy in the distance, accompanied by a fox girl. It's strange. One of the fox girls said with a sweet smile, the tribes in Shizhou think weasels are smelly, and most of them don't want to get close to them, but for some reason, that fellow tribesman hangs out with a weasel boy all day long. I have seen them several times. They are really shameless and shameless. So everyone giggled. Qingzhou looked at the two people and suddenly felt empathy. What she has been struggling with recently is that she lives in the Cunning tribe as a white tiger, and she feels lost and alienated as she is neither human nor human. Seeing the fox girl and the weasel boy walking together, she thought that even if they get married in the future, they will not be understood by their relatives on both sides. It can be seen that this kind of clan gate is like a natural chasm, which is difficult to cross. Call those two people over. Qingzhou ordered, I want to talk to them. The fox girls looked at each other, and soon someone stood up with a sweet smile and said, I'll go, Your Majesty, wait here. Long Long accompanied Long Hu in the clan land for many days. Although the fox monks around always cast strange eyes, they didn't recognize Long Hu after all, so no one came up to provoke, saying something like a mere weasel wants to eat fox meat. It seems that after the western state officially sets out, the two can mix into the team and go to the northern state. Brother from the Weasel clan. Someone suddenly called out from behind, please stay. Long Long slowly stopped, looked at the dragon fox, then looked at the strange fox girl, and then pointed at himself blankly. Looking for me? Chapter 923 Qingzhou questions Long Long. Looking for me? What do you want to find me for? Long Long subconsciously had a bad feeling and wanted to run away on the spot. If he was alone at this time, he would have run away. But Long Hu was beside him, and it was not convenient to take her with him, so he could only ask tentatively. May I ask this, fellow Taoist of the Fox clan, are we strangers before? Of course I haven't met before. A trace of well-concealed contempt flashed in the other party's eyes. Although this contempt was obscure, it did not escape Long Long's eyes, so he immediately understood that it was not the other party who was really looking for him. If he refused, the other party might find another person to come. Well, let's go and meet him. After exchanging eyes with Long Hu for a moment, the two decided to see who the other party was before making any follow-up responses. If it really didn't work, they could still bring up the name of elderly. Following the fox girl, the two came to a certain high ground. Then they saw Qingzhou sitting among a group of fox girls chatting and laughing. Long Hu, where did this little tiger come from? Long was a little terrified for a moment, wondering if his and Long Long's identities were discovered by the Fox clan and then reported to the White Tiger clan. Of course, Long Long also thought of this possibility, but he was more experienced after all, and soon realized that if the White Tiger clan really discovered his identity, it would definitely not be Qingzhou who came alone, but the White Tiger clan chief plus the White Tiger god general, or even the White Tiger ancestor who came to see him in person. Otherwise, how can we show our sincerity in respecting the wise and humble? Even if they're greedy for my body, they should let the woman's relatives and elders come out and invite me warmly, right? Thinking of this, Long Long was able to confirm with a high probability that the other party just happened to appear here and should not have discovered the true identities of the two of them. Therefore, after calming down a little, Long Long saluted calmly and said, "Meet the nobleman." Oh? Qingzhou did not recognize him, and nodded and asked, "Do you know me?" "I have never had the honor to meet you." Long Long smiled, "But you are noble, like a crane standing out among chickens, how can I not see it?" So the fox girls all laughed in cooperation, thinking that although this weasel boy has a low bloodline, he is good at speaking beautiful words. Qingzhou was not confused by him, and just smiled and said, "Then guess, what is the identity of this nobleman of mine?" Long Long pondered for a moment, and the dragon fox next to him also became nervous. Obviously, if you say it too accurately, the other party will definitely notice something is wrong. But if you guess completely blindly, there is inevitably the possibility of being too deliberate, and you need to grasp the degree. Long Long naturally had a good sense of propriety in this regard, and said with a smile, "Since the noble is surrounded by so many fox girls, he must be from a top family in Shizou. Who else could it be except the White Tigers and clan? Look, this weasel is really smart." Qiangzhou smiled slightly. "Hey, the noble is praising you." A fox girl shouted to Long Long, "Why don't you thank him quickly?" It was just a compliment, what was there to thank him for? Long Long was secretly complaining in his heart, only to hear Qiangzhou ask in a serious tone, "Since you are so smart, why do you want to be with a fox? You should know that the gap between your Weasel clan and the Fox clan is even greater than the gap between the Fox clan and our White Tiger clan. Even if you two love each other." Having said this, Qiangzhou paused for a moment, looked at Longhu and said, "The Fox clan will not allow you to be together. My nobleman may have misunderstood something." Long Long said with a smile, "She and I are just ordinary friends, and we don't have any private feelings." Long felt annoyed when she heard this. Although she knew that the two were in a disguise at the moment, and it was much safer to say that they were friends than lovers, she was still a little unhappy when she heard it. Qiangzhou refused to believe it, but continued to laugh. "If there is no love, why do you live together day and night and are inseparable?" "You are joking, my lord." Long Long replied neither servilely nor arrogantly, "Love is not about living together day and night and being inseparable. It is that even if you were at the ends of the earth and can never see each other, you still miss each other and can't let go." This sentence made Qiangzhou and the fox girl silent. The fox girls were delicate and sensitive. They were stunned when they heard it. Some even murmured and repeated it, with tears in the corners of their eyes. But Qiangzhou was not so easily sentimental. She was silent for a moment, and suddenly asked, "You are so young, how can you understand what love is?" Long Long just smiled without saying anything, showing a meaningful expression of those who understand will understand, and those who don't understand, I can't explain it to you. Of course, he was not pretending to be profound, but it was really hard to explain. After all, the more he talked, the more he would have to cover up if Qiangzhou continued to ask, so it was better to stop talking briefly and not go into depth. Seeing him smiling without saying anything, Qiangzhou immediately felt a little disappointed and waved his hand to let him leave. This was exactly what Long Long expected, so he bowed respectfully and turned away with Longhu. Seeing him leave without any nostalgia, without any intention of clinging to her, Qiangzhou suddenly felt a little depressed. She suddenly realized that she seemed to have suffered a similar setback from another man. This feeling of being unable to advance and retreating was too familiar. "Wait a minute!" Qiangzhou suddenly shouted. Long Long could only stand there helplessly, only to hear Qiangzhou say again, "I see that you have some knowledge. I just have some doubts in my heart recently. You can try to answer them for me." "How can I dare to answer your doubts?" Long Long said tactfully. "It's okay." Qiangzhou didn't care. "I just said it casually, and you answered it casually. I knew a person before, and we were like-minded and got along well with each other. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long, and fate played tricks on us. The family behind me and the family behind him went to war with each other, which forced us to stand on opposite sides. Now the two sides have stopped fighting, but the relationship has not improved much. I want to renew my relationship with him, but I'm worried." "Forget it, you don't understand what I'm worried about. Let me ask you. If you and this fox girl fall in love, but the families behind you are hostile to each other, what will you do?" Long Long thought to himself, what kind of ridiculous question is this? When have we ever been like-minded? He pretended to think for a moment and replied, "If so, from my humble knowledge, it depends on the status of me and her in our respective families. If the two of us are just ordinary members of the family, then why not leave the family and find a secluded place far away to live there?" "Oh?" Qiangzhou asked indifferently, "What about the family? Since we are ordinary members of the family, what's the problem with losing the two of us?" Long Long replied, "What if you are in a high position and your family treats you ill?" Qiangzhou's tone turned cold. "Then you'll naturally have to make a difficult choice between your family and your lover," Long Long said very tactfully. Chapter 924. The March to Shizou. If two people love each other, but their families are hostile to each other, then they can only prepare for an extremely difficult and psychological struggle between their lover and their family. Although this makes sense, it is an absolute nonsense. Otherwise, what else can be done? Qiangzhou choked up when she heard this, and didn't want to talk to the other party at all. But a very familiar sense of Zhu deep in her heart was slowly emerging. You? Qiangzhou hesitated and said, "What's your name?" Uda. Long lowered his head and said, "My name is Uda. The Weasel tribe basically uses the surname Yu, and the lower level demons have little culture. Often the first child is named Uda, and the second child is named Yua. From this, it can be seen that Uda is a very common name." Qiangzhou didn't say anything, just stared at Long, who was a little worried, and hurriedly stopped in front of Long, blocking Qiangzhou's sight. The sense of Zhu became even more severe, making Qiangzhou feel like she was dreaming back to Dongzhou, and she was jealous of some little turtle, bird, or dragon. To be honest, it was very unpleasant. Who am I? As for competing with you for this male weasel? She had an instinctive anger, but also an inexplicable throbbing feeling, so she stared at the dragon fox instead. The dragon fox became even more nervous, but fortunately the fox clan's acting talent came online, and his eyes quickly revealed 7 parts of timidity and 3 parts of jealousy, and the emotion of wanting to scold but unwilling to do so emerged in his pupils. Seeing her shrinking like this, Qiangzhou's anger quickly subsided. As the eldest princess of the Cunning clan, it was certainly not worth it to get angry with a fox girl. As for jealousy, that was certainly impossible. What was I thinking just now? Qiangzhou came back to her senses from her trance, waved her hand listlessly, and signaled that the two could leave. After the two left, the fox girls started talking at once. "Your Highness, he is just a low-level person who is a little clever. Why should you look at him differently? It's okay." Qiangzhou didn't want to talk to them anymore and shook her head. The fox girls wanted to ask who the male who rekindled his relationship with the princess was, but seeing that Qiangzhou had no desire to continue the conversation, they all kept silent for a while. Long and Long were far away from each other before he said with lingering fear, "Did I reveal any flaws just now?" "No." Long also said nervously, "I don't think so." "Then why is she staring at me?" Long said irritably, "It can't be a woman's intuition, right?" "Oh." Long was a little unhappy, and his tail drooped down. "Maybe. Anyway, you have so many confidantes, it's not surprising that 1 or 2 can recognize you." "What kind of confidantes are she and I?" How could Long not notice her little emotion? He immediately hugged her and coaxed her, and finally made the fox ears stand up again. The two hurried back to Welderule's residence, planning to stay in seclusion for a while, lest Qiangzhou remembered something later and went to find that too to confirm their identities, which would be even more troublesome. Fortunately, Qiangzhou probably didn't notice anything. Anyway, she soon left the Sky Fox clan and returned to the White Tiger Holy Mountain. After a while, the army of Shizao finally set out and assembled towards the border. Long and Long, naturally, also mixed in the fox army of Shizao, and quietly followed the army. On the other hand, in order to cooperate with the military operations of Shizao, Zhongzhou also assembled troops at the border, led by Qiangzhou himself. As for the White Tiger God General Lvian, he moved to the southern border of Zhongzhou to guard against possible sudden attacks from Namzhou. Of course, the reason why he was in Dongzhou instead of the border of Shizao was also to guard against Dongzhou. However, soon a secret intelligence was quickly transmitted from the spies of Dongzhou to the White Tiger secret guards of Dongzhou. Long and Long of the Dragon Clan had mysteriously disappeared not long ago. This news caused Dongzhou to be highly vigilant. After all, Long had a magic weapon for space teleportation, and he might be teleported to a certain place and coiled in a corner, secretly rubbing and holding back to do bad things. Therefore, Dongzhou quickly sent an envoy to Dongzhou to express condolences. On the surface, it was to express condolences, but in reality it was to gather intelligence and confirm what had happened. After some time, the news reached Qiangzhou's ears at the northern border. Qiangzhou was stunned at first, and then immediately remembered something and suddenly realized it. Secret guard. She quickly ordered the adjutant beside her, "Go to Qingqiu Mountain in Shizao immediately and find a weasel." "Find a weasel?" The adjutant confirmed. "If you go to the old fairy mountain where the weasel tribe lives, you can find as many weasels as you want." How could there be a weasel in Qingqiu Mountain of the fox tribe? That's it. Qiangzhou subconsciously wanted to describe the appearance of the weasel in detail, but then he changed his mind and stopped talking. Yes, with his cunning habits, it must have been so long ago that he would not have stayed there. Forget it. Qiangzhou waved his hand and asked the adjutant to leave, while he squinted his eyes silently. Long, what are you going to do? Why did you leave the dragon tribe with Long Hu? Didn't I tell you that sooner or later I will? She suddenly remembered what she had said to the weasel tribe. She thought that the other party didn't understand at all, so she could just act as a tree hole to pour out her heart, but who knew that the other party was actually herself? Thinking of this, Kyungju felt some unspeakable, secret, and ashamed emotions that made her want to dig a hole and bury herself. It's all that stinky dragon's fault. Why are you pretending to be a skunk for no reason? You'd better not get caught by me. Otherwise, Long, on the other side, didn't know that his identity had been discovered by Kyungju, because the news of the disappearance of the elder Long of the dragon tribe of Dongzhou had also spread to Shizhou. In this regard, the senior officials of the various tribes in Shizhou unanimously agreed that this must be a conspiracy of the dragon tribe, and that they should just ignore it. After gathering at the border, the Western State Army crossed the border in a mighty manner and began to wend to the northern border. As they gradually moved north, there were fewer mountains and more frozen soil around, and the white frost in the soil became denser and denser, and it didn't melt even at noon. Snow began to fall from the sky, the cold wind cut on the face like a knife, and the coldness invaded like a tide. However, most of the Mao tribe were fat and strong, and they were not afraid of the severe cold. They marched for more than 300 miles in the wind and snow, and soon encountered the vanguard of the Kung tribe of Bizhou. The two sides fought hand to hand, and after a fight, they each left dozens of corpses and retreated. Long and Long disguised themselves as the personal guards of Elder Ali, so they were not sent to the battlefield. Looking at the snow in front of him, Long began to plan silently again. According to the current route of Shizhou's march, it will turn to the east in 5 days. At this time, the two need to leave the army and turn to the north alone. But the situation of the army is unpredictable, who knows how the marching route will change? Or we can only adapt to the situation. Chapter 925. Catching the spiky Kyungju. The further north you go, the colder the wind gets. The sea breeze blowing from the North Sea is not just an ordinary cold wind. It is mixed with extremely strong, yin-attributed water-based spiritual energy, like a maggot on the tarsal bone, and is extremely corrosive, causing many Mao people to feel a little uncomfortable. The Mao people are more adapted to dry climates. After all, Long and Long have the bloodline of a dragon, so they are not afraid of the erosion of this water-based spiritual energy, but in order to play the whole play, they can only take a fire-based magic weapon in their hands every day to dry up all the wind and snow approaching their bodies. The two shook themselves in the camp, shaking off the wind and snow, and suddenly heard the roar of the Mao people in the distance. Perhaps they encountered a small attack force again and started a fight. The mobility of the monks is much higher than that of ordinary soldiers, so the war will be more frequent and more intense. Soon, a large number of Mao monks around them rode the wind and flew towards the source of the roar. It's really strange. Long said, since entering Bizhou, Xuan has used a large-scale force to fight against the Shizhou army once. It was all small-scale scattered harassment. Long also nodded and said, it's obviously delaying time. As for why that delay is for, it is naturally to accumulate a big move, but what big move is not known for the time being. Thinking of this, Long felt a little uneasy. Otherwise, it's better to run away early. What does your aunt say? Long asked in secret. She has to obey the unified command of the Mao tribe, so she can't go with us. Long replied, and Beiming Fanyan will not allow others to accompany us. That is to say, we can leave at any time. Long secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If so, it will be much more flexible. For example, if you see a good opportunity, you can quickly take Long away. If you have to find a lead to explain the situation to her, it will be a waste of time. Let's go back to the camp first. It's a bit cold outside. Long was saying this when he suddenly saw someone riding the wind from a distance. Kyungju. Although the distance was very far, Long scanned it clearly in an instant and confirmed that the other party was staring at him. She didn't just fly in this direction, but rushed over because she found him. Thinking of this, Long's heart sank. Knowing that his identity had been exposed, all kinds of terrible words such as shackles, basement, juice, etc. flashed through his mind. Without saying a word, he pulled Longu and flew up into the clouds. The two of them hurriedly headed north, and their speed quickly soared. Seeing this, Kyungju behind her quickly used the tiger roar skill and shouted, Long. Stop right there. She had never thought that she would meet Long in such a place. It was just that she had just handed over the military power to the elders of the Cunning clan, so she had nothing to do and went out for a walk. As a result, she was attracted by the shouting and killing nearby. On the way over, she suddenly glanced down in the distance and saw Long Long and Long Yu shaking snow on the ground. She immediately rushed over in a hurry. The little tiger was probably also confused. Seeing the two people running away without looking back, he shouted the classic word "stop." Once these two words were spoken, the person being chased would definitely not look back even if he had a little hesitation in his heart. Therefore, Long Long no longer pretended and directly exerted his cultivation in the nest and soul realm with all his strength. The cloud carrying the two people almost pulled the tail into a straight line, which gave the feeling of flying at lightning speed. Qingzhou noticed that the distance was gradually widening, and she was immediately furious. The innate habit of cats to chase prey that can run was aroused. She immediately used all her strength and pushed the wind control technique to the extreme. In this way, although it was no longer possible to maintain the posture of clinging, it was actually difficult to be shaken off for a while. Long Long was also terrified watching from the front. He was not worried about being caught up by Qingzhou, but he was more afraid that the pursuit and escape of both sides would attract the nearby Kung clan monks, which would be a bit bad. Just in front of the ground, an icy rift suddenly appeared. Without saying a word, Long Long hugged the dragon fox beside him and swooped down into the rift. He wanted to use the narrow terrain between the glacier cracks to try to get rid of Qingzhou completely. Qingzhou did not hesitate. The cat-like vertical pupils in his eyes had locked onto the target in front, and then he plunged in. The glacial rift looked very smooth from a high altitude, but when you get close, you find that the surface is not only uneven, but also has many derived ice edges and spikes. Long Long and the dragon fox kept moving left and right, deliberately using these protruding obstacles on the cliff face to block the sight of Qingzhou from behind. Looking back, Qingzhou was actually jumping left and right, stepping on the cliff face continuously while riding the wind, using the innate flexibility of cats to avoid all these obstacles. Long Long, I'll do it. Seeing that she couldn't get away, the dragon fox quickly used the fox's illusion. She didn't use magic weapons or flying swords, so as not to make too much noise and attract the Kung monks who might just pass by nearby. As soon as the illusion came out, Qingzhou was immediately hit, and her consciousness became unclear. She didn't have time to avoid an ice pillar while rushing forward, and she hit it head-on. The ice pillar was broken by her head, and the pain pulled her consciousness back from the illusion for a moment. Qingzhou, who was determined in her heart, circulated her true energy, regardless of whether it would attract nearby enemies, and quickly puffed up her chest and let out a huge tiger roar, wanting to use the illusion-breaking characteristics of the tiger roar to eliminate the influence of the illusion. This loud roar reflected and rebounded between the rifts, and immediately triggered an even more powerful avalanche. The three of them didn't have time to react before they were swallowed up by the overwhelming torrent of ice and snow above their heads. The weight and pressure of this avalanche would certainly be fatal to ordinary people, but it was nothing to the demon cultivators, who could get out of the snow with just a struggle. But what Long Long was really worried about was whether there were any northern state cultivators nearby who were attracted by the sound of the avalanche, so he put his arm around Long Yu's waist and was buried under the thick ice and snow. Pretending not to be there, he and Long Yu stared at each other under the ice and snow, and neither of them dared to make a sound. After a while, there was a rustling sound from above, as if someone was digging through the ice and snow. Then, a hand reached in through the ice and snow and began to grope around randomly. Although he couldn't see the people outside through the ice and snow, Long Long had the ability to scan after all, and he could see through it and see that the person lying on the ice and snow was the little white tiger Qingzhou. He pretended to be absent and motionless, but Qingzhou was surprisingly lucky. In a fit of rage, she suddenly touched his hand. Long Long subconsciously shook her hand away, but failed to get rid of it. Instead, it was like pulling out a carrot and bringing out mud. The little tiger and the dragon fox were pulled out of the snow together. The three of them lay on the snow and panted. Qingzhou kept patting off the remaining snow on her body. Long Long was also helping the dragon fox clean its tail. Qingzhou glared at him and said angrily, "Why are you running? Then why are you chasing me?" Long Long quickly scanned the surroundings. Fortunately, he didn't find any strange monks. "You ran away, so I naturally have to chase you," Qingzhou said righteously. "If you don't chase us, we won't run away." The dragon fox was also very unhappy because of the cold, and said directly, "Your Highness, don't you have anything more important to do besides chasing us?" This sentence made Qingzhou feel a little ashamed. After all, as one of the generals of Song Zhao's northern expedition, she shouldn't have been so rash to go deep into the northern border. But she was also a person who refused to give in, and soon she put her hands on her hips and shouted, "I'm trying to catch a spy in the army." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.